And SMEs have to keep thriving and growing and fast also to overcome that uncertainty. Take, for instance, the growth in the prices, in prices. How do you transfer that? How do you optimize? How are you efficient so that you can have more to put back into the business and to grow? And we know, obviously, 90% of the jobs in Nigeria are provided by SMEs. Without SMEs, Nigeria is nothing. So I extend my heartfelt congratulations to all the nominated businesses. The ability of these SMEs to not just weather the storm, but to flourish in times of uncertainty speaks volumes about the strength and agility embedded in the entrepreneurial spirit. So let's look at this as the Olympics for entrepreneurship. Some will be winners, but some will not. But I think the important thing is that you're nominated and you are recognized. As we continue with the Business Day SME 100 Conference and Awards, let us reflect on the lessons these SMEs have to offer us. How their stories can be a source of inspiration for others. I've been sitting down here and I've been listening to some stories, and I think it's very encouraging and very heart-lifting to know what SMEs do and how they can grow amid challenges. And let us learn also from them the opportunities to thrive, not just to survive, but to thrive. I want to thank all our partners whom without this wouldn't be possible, our sponsors, everyone who has contributed with this to make this event possible, the stage, tech team, the designers, everyone. Congratulations once again to the remarkable business we are here to honor today. May their success stories inspire countless others to strive for greatness, and may the bonds forged here today contribute to the continued prosperity of Nigeria's business landscape. Without further delay, I would like to call on Mr. Omolara Adewumi, who is acting, is it Omolara? Adewumi Omolara, exactly. Adewumi Oni, exactly. Before I get sued for that. Adewumi, who is acting Executive Secretary of LSETF, to give the opening remarks. Mr. Adewumi Oni.
Good morning, everyone. So just to make some correction, my name is Adewumi Oni, Director of Finance and Corporate Services at the LSETF. I'm here representing the Acting Executive Secretary, Omolara Adewumi. So there's Adewumi in the two names. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fagbule, for that opening remarks, and I agree with you that MSMEs contribute 96%, or they make up 96%.
Thank you very much. I think my next question now, based on what he responded, will be to Madam Esther. Now that SMEs know this, what are the metrics you as a financial institution will be looking at to saying, okay, we're going to give you this loan? Hello?
Okay, thank you very much. So I think you more or less answered the question. So sometimes I always say to MSMEs, it looks like the simplest thing is like the most difficult thing to do, you know? And it's just structure your repayment in such a way that it's easy for you. But it can be simple. So as a banker, and the next thing is banks don't like it, can be simple. So as a banker, and the next thing is banks don't like to give money. Banks, meanwhile, we are all there chasing you. How come we don't want to give this money? We want to give it to you. Why are we giving it to some? We are chasing, even microfinance, all of us are chasing you. We want to. 96% of businesses in the country, why won't I chase you? Why won't everybody want to go after you? So the truth is, I know beyond just wanting to give that money or access money, I think SMEs should be more interested in capacity building, understanding the simple things that have just been, reeled out. And once we all understand it, we'll be attracted to each other. So those are the metrics.
How do fellow entrepreneurs in your industry, because your financiers want to see how interested, how passionate
you are about this thing that you say that you're doing. And whether it's product testing, market testing, and then the integrity of your business, which can only be said through your bookkeeping and your bank statements, right? So to just make it very short, the first is, what have you done for yourself? How much bet have you put on your own brand and on your own business? And the next thing would be, ensure that your books are very detailed. I would also say that increased education for me has helped, right? I remember starting, and I had to go to LBS, Lagos Business School, to do an MBA, because I needed to know not everything, but I needed to know something and something in depth about accounting, about, financing, about taxes, all of these things, add up to the long run, right? And how much I pay attention to my business and my brand. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would, does anyone else want to answer something? Okay. So I think my next question now would be, knowing all these metrics and everything, what's now the difference between a bank loan, we hear angel investor or crowdfunding? Like, many people do not understand the differences between these forms of accessing funds. So I would start with you. Like, what would you say are the difference? And then I will go over to, I think there have been a mix-up with the names, so I apologize if I'm not calling out the names and everything. Thank you.
Okay, I think some of the so I think some of the other panelists have sort of outlined very important indices. Just picking up from the last speaker, I need to highlight this as well, because sometimes people come to banks and then someone says, I want maybe 100 million, but you haven't even invested 2 million in the business. And, we're like, okay, what's the equity? I mean, as the director or the owner of the business, what have you done for your business and for yourself? Because why don't I just buy up the company? It's my question, right? So if I'm going to give you maybe 10 times more than what you've invested in yourself, maybe the conversation should be a bit different. So that just dovetails into the last question, right? When you're starting your business, you need to sort of come and ask yourself, what stage am I as an SME? What kind of financier am I trying to attract? Because we all seem like we're in the same market, but there are different things that everyone is looking out for. So you're even asking yourself, am I at the stage that I should be looking for debt as a means of financing? Because maybe you're even trying to create the product. You haven't even gone to market yet, right? You might be at that stage that you're launching a new product. You haven't gone to market yet. You're not sure of the cash flows. So at that stage, maybe you should be talking to an angel investor, right? Who is a person that, can actually invest directly. Or maybe a venture capitalist. Some of them give seed funds, which would then be used for the beginning of the project to create the product or something like that. And then when you've launched the product, you began to see a trend in how it is purchased or the service, then you can come back to say, okay, now I can take X amount of debt, right, to finance that growth process, right? So there are different indices, and then for crowdfunding, it's a bit, it's a bit shaky, because I know that certain SMEs at test run that, especially in the agri sector, about 2-3 years ago, but the way and the mode of how they went with that crowdfunding thing just reduced the possibility of crowdfunding a little bit in Nigeria, right? Because you want to be able to match, when you're taking a loan or you're getting funding, you want to match that with the kind of services you're offering and when the repayments would come. So people were taking crowdfunding for long tenured investment, and then they had an expectation from the people that gave them the fund to pay in the short term. So the projects were not mature enough to pay, and it was just a mess, right? So I think it's very important as an SME to sit down and say, what stage of my business am I in, and what kind of investor am I looking for. So if you're at the starting phase, then maybe an angel investor or even a pre-seed venture capitalist firm. And as you begin to scale, you start looking for debt that way. That would be my input. Thank you.
Hello? Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Yes. Just to add to what she has said, she's really gone in depth, especially on the venture funding and crowdfunding. And of course, you spoke about the bank loans also. Like she has said, it's important that you are very clear as an SME what sort of funding you need. Because it's either it makes you or it mars you. So, and I'm sure you want to be made, you want to grow, you want to have capacity as an SME business. So that's very critical. Because some of these fundings, when you get into it, some of the financiers want to come in as shareholders. Are you ready to have a shareholder into your business? You have to look at that because in SME abroad, because you see that data is very critical. We don't have it in Nigeria. So that's part of the challenges both of us face, that data bit, and I'm sure he also faces it. He would face those things. So it's very critical that as a bank, what we want to do is sit down with you, understand the kind of funding you need. Is it short term? Is it medium term? Is it long term? Like for us in Union Bank, we had to, look at a particular sector. We know SMEs, truly, it's difficult for them to also have collaterals. So we took some of those things that...
So I think tools are available now that make it easier for you to...
What kind of tools do you have to
use?
Yeah,
so it makes it easier for you to have records. Before, a lot of people were less informed about what to do. So now a lot more people would start something as simple as using, say, Google Sheets to ensure that you just have your credit and your debit noted. Then, of course, you can go further and have payroll software that has accounting parts for it, so you know how much you're paying in total for your personnel. Your bank statement is feeding into an app that is collating your entire revenue. So you have, apart from Google Sheets, there is Wave, there are invoicing tools, but essentially the goal for it at the end of the day is for you to have that data like they mentioned, and it doesn't have to be tools that are out of the world. Things as simple as Google Sheets is a very great start. They just need to see that, oh, this came in here, this went out this way. And then you have records for each one. For example, a former company I used to work with, the entire thing that we had was built on top of Google Sheets, and then it connected into a data analysis tool. So each expense had a category: personnel, operations, staff stuff, So basically, we then took that Google Sheet, fed it into that data analysis, and then on the pie chart, we saw instantly, okay, this is how much we're spending on office appliances every month. This is how much we're spending on things like team bonding or staff loans, fueling the cars. All of that was obvious. So we knew when we wanted to start cutting costs, where we wanted to start from instantly. So that record, and like I said, it doesn't have to be major stuff. Google Sheets, Data Studio, connected, and then we have all of those things. And when we're about to start raising money, that was literally what we took. Say, oh, this is exactly how much is coming, and we just attached our bank statement to it. And then these days that, most tech startups have international dollar accounts. So if you're using a bank like, if you were using a bank like SVB, right, or Mercury or Wise or any of the Delaware banks, right? They had integrations that allowed you to just feed in your expenses and all of that directly into it. So, and it made things a lot easier because at the end of the day, we're going to raise in USD, even if target market is spending in Naira.
All right. Okay, yeah.
No, I just wanted to add something because, these techie guys, when you let them talk, they talk very high English. so I want to say
bring it down
to our level and our SME level because I think I came back from a program. also a techie guy who was talking, and another SME guy came and said, look, when we talk, let's speak the language of, it's no more SME, let's start with nano, NSME. So you understand information on technology. You have to train yourself. You have to build yourself. You have to have some kind of capacity building on technology. If you don't understand technology today, you can't be doing any business. So what he's just saying, those structure we're asking you to put as a bank, those bookkeeping inputs and outputs, your cost, try and understand how to use simple sheets like Google Sheets. There's many software, right? Paid software, wave apps, many of them that you can just, all you just have to understand is someone just putting you through. And we should move away from the time of being shy as a business. I don't want somebody to teach me. You must be open to knowledge. You must be open to letting your son, your 13-year-old, teach you how to understand Page, how to understand Google Sheets. They know it better than us. They use it. So we should be very open to bringing our sons who is in university or secondary school to teach us. And once you know it, nobody can take it away from you. You will understand how to take your business to Instagram, Facebook. I can't give you money and just expect you to stay in Balogun, that lace, for everybody here to come and see that you sell lace to buy. I will understand that you are techie savvy a little bit. So at least I know that this is your business. Everybody is saying, even all over the world they are saying it. Somebody in London can call their sister in Lagos and say, please, I saw that late online. Please, can you help me buy it and send it? Even if you don't have, page where they can make payment, just let it be visible. That's what he's trying to say in simple terms. Thank you.
All right. So based on what you just said, I am thinking of those that are not very educated. Let's forget Lagos State now. Many of us know or understand all this. A situation where even in this crowd, we are not that educated, but like an Igbo man now, they are telling him with his spare parts and all that to go and sit down with Wave and everything. Where's the place of the accountant in helping us access these funds? And I don't know. I don't know if you understand my question.
Yeah, so just to add to what she said, right, I've noticed that most SMEs, I think we had a project with VFDMFB with some farmers in Ondo State, and then I had to visit Ondo State. I mean, it's like the end of Ondo State. And when I got there, my impression was, farmers, they're not tech savvy, they wouldn't really, really know what's going on. And then the person that was our partner said to me, they are one of the most informed groups in Nigeria. Extremely informed. Some of them are not educated, but they now understand the importance of, technology to their business. So for instance, they have used technology to put out information about things like how to plant, the kinds of seeds to use, and they just have to use like a USSD code, or they've simplified those products and they have people training them to say, you know what, when you go to the farm to get information, all you need to do is put on your phone, go on this website, and they're used to it. And guess what? They also need to go online, right? Because they need to know the value, the current value that cocoa is selling as at today. So they need to know that so that whoever is buying from them doesn't cheat them. So my point is, as an SME, no matter how twice weekly, the person might have a paid employment in some other company, but then they can come in maybe over the weekend. Sorry. They can come in over the weekend, or they can even come in, you can just send them information, track for them, and then they'll help you in structuring that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Just on that. So I think generally, a particular demography in our society have a slightly deep distrust of service professionals. So they're looking at it from, okay, fine, I'm paying you this amount, and then what's the actual value that you're delivering? And at that point, like she mentioned, one of the things that is just drawing a straight line from, this is how much you pay me, this is why you're paying me that amount. It's not going to be a straight path to it. So it's very simple. If it's something as simple as just write it down first, because like even though they have access to technology, their use of it is not as seamless as we like to think. So start from writing it down. Then, of course, from that point, you have enough to say, okay, I want to start hiring someone to look at this when it gets too complex for them. And I've seen that projection a few times. So when it gets to the point where, okay, fine, I don't understand this anymore. It's gone from notebook to like a small ledger, and then they start looking for who to hire. Word of mouth usually works, and it's something that I noticed. I don't know if you guys have heard of Accounting Hub. Accounting Hub does business mostly with word of mouth. It's like, oh, I use Miss Choma for this business, and then like that, I've seen a few people recommend her constantly, consistently at events like this because they've used her. Also, her service is exceptional, and then she's not expensive. So the cost of hiring a full-time accountant, for example, is less for them. So she goes in from time to time. They already have an agreed session, and then they pay the cost of the software that she uses. She gets one license for them. She gives them access. She operates it. Most of them don't even bother touching it. But when they want to, or if they want to, it's there. So you pay an accountant, upwards of 300, 350. You don't have to pay her that much to get your books in order. So, and because they've seen the correlation, it's not as expensive. They have trust because they've also seen her do it for other people. So
Okay.
it's a projection. It's not going to happen overnight, but obviously we're going to get to that point where it's seamless, where they can use Sage for themselves. But when they're starting out, it's not that point that you want to go and introduce Sage Oracle to someone.
Okay, I think I would ask Madam Yvonne, you operate a business as like a business. I know, what would you advise someone who came for advice with how to leverage technology to maybe access funds and other bookkeeping methods for a business? Maybe it's a small business or a medium business in your industry.
My advice will be keep your books. Find ways to keep your books. I will take it off from where I'm actually very passionate about the women you referred to the other time, which is the women in the market that is not able to read or
Yeah.
understand what we are talking about here, but still needs to do the right thing in order to scale. It reminds me of my father, right? My father died a wealthy man. Hi. He did good business as an Igbo man in Ibadan, importing containers, paying his loan, and he never really kept his books well. My dad was a good businessman, but he did not have the tools to move his business from just being a one-man business to a global enterprise, which the business had the potential of becoming.
Yeah.
When I look at the gap between my father, and which is a huge motivation as to how I live today and how I do business today, and how he, made his money, enjoyed his cash, but was not able to make
Scale
it
up.
transgenerational, like what my dear Auntie Tony, SAS Textiles is doing today. The difference between him and myself is the education, because which is one of the value propositions that we offer at 360 Woman Africa, which is one of the things I do, if you had read my profile.
Yeah.
We're very keen on business education for women and SMEs, entrepreneurs generally, because the truth is, you cannot go further than what you know. Business education is very key. My father at the time married one of the key attributes my mom had when he married, he would always tell us, was because she even had a secondary school education, so she could write very well, she could sign his checks. So he would tell us, I married your mom because she could be signing my checks and all of that. Then my mom came into his house. He paid for her master's, her PhD. My mom is a professor at this time. My dad is late. So my mom was always running it for him, even though she even had bare understanding of business. But she could understand she was educated, so she knew the basic things that could happen. But then to take it to the next level, they didn't know that. For women in the market, I think that, like, one of the things I'm trying to collaborate with other partners to do, especially Union Bank, she doesn't know, but yeah, I'll tell you later, is to, how do we educate these people? Help them see the possibilities that is within their business. I'll tell you another quick story. I run a chain of supermarket business, but guess who my inspiration was when I was growing up? Iyagbolahan on the street of Arometa, who was there from when I was 5 years, selling Coke, Fanta, Ribena to us, and literally trained Bolahan and his two sisters in a very small kiosk. I saw her use that fund from that place to train children. Bolahan and the sisters went to private schools. But when I went home last year, I asked about Iyagbolahan. She's left there. And they said they don't know where she is. I'm not sure she's killed that business. What was the difference? What as I am today as a grown-up person that now runs an enterprise, that Iyagbolahan greatly inspired, right? When I look at it, I wish you really understood how to. Were banks that could put her through educating her, not just saving her money for her, but finding ways to bring education to her level and helping her to see that if you do ABC, if you structure, breaking down structure to the barest minimum. I was at a meeting with my dear Auntie Toyi, hosted us, her tribe members, to her a meeting on Sunday, and we're talking about governance, advisory boards, how we make these things sound very bogus. And the small people are literally scared to engage, right? We come and have these conversations and we use big grammar and we all did. Because there were criteria that were set. You must attend classes, you must do assignments, you must do case studies, right? So we are sure that beyond taking the grants, right, you have the clear understanding on how to maintain your money and scale your money further. Right. So for your direct question to me as to what I would tell SMEs like me or nano SMEs to do in order to scale or get better funding, it cannot be said in any other way. I think our experts here, the bankers, have said it. Keep your books well. Before I could afford an accountant in my businesses, I was doing my accounting. I wasn't even buying softwares. I had books, like manually. I had expenses. I had daily, I was doing all of those things before I eventually was able to get a small accountant I could pay to put all those things together for me. Right. So yeah, very key.
Yeah, that's why I threw at you because of the education part.
Let me
okay.
Just briefly.
Just quickly, please.
Yeah, just briefly. Because that's where we banks come in, and we've already started. We understand the importance of the SME, the MSME, because we don't want to when we don't put the M, it means that the micro people we are putting, the woman that sells akara, the man that sells tomatoes, so you'll be shocked that even the man I buy tomatoes from, you'll be shocked that these people, they are now understanding the fact that they have to have records. It's better we make it very simple. Records, it's critical. Just have that book. Have a bank account. It's very important. Any MSME business must have a bank account because, like we said, that's the data we need. That's what tells us what's going into your business and coming out of your business. And it's easy for us to sit with you and say, oh, okay, you are making profits, you're not making profits. Your expense is too high, it's not too high. So that's very critical, and that's why we run, now we run seminars, we run training programs. Yes, small, micro exporters. Those are some of the things we do. And that training is meant to prepare them, and by today we are opening about 100 of them, the accounts in the bank as I speak. Those are the sort of, so it's important that an MSME, you have a bank account. No, and the good thing is that the OPAs, the money points that have come in also, we welcome them because they've been able to help us really go grassroots also. So even that's very important.
Do you want to say something? Then, okay, you can say something, but also but it has to be short before, so we can ask questions. Aside from that, I wanted to ask you about the role, what role do government policies do to also affect this?
Okay, thank you. So first, let me quickly add 3 points to that. The first thing is, if someone approaches me as an SME, that, oh, what sort of advice can I give in terms of technology? I would say embrace technology. If I will use the Noah's Ark story in the Bible, technology is a Noah's Ark that would save the world, so to say. If you do not jump on the ark, you'll be left and swept away by the flood. That's the truth about technology. So as a business owner, get a bank account. It's important. And some of these bank account comes with apps that even makes it easy for you to narrate your expenses. They give you option. This payment you are doing, is it for bills? Is it for the utility? And so you put that narration. At the end of the month, you can then do summary. This went, like you said, you can see the category. So that's technology. 2 is technology is also a tool for learning, for capacity development. There are so many learning apps online now that you can use to equip yourself. Some of them are even free. I don't want to start advertising them, but you can go online. Some, majority, a lot of them are free. Third one is also your social media handle. And then you see what you do. Oh, fantastic. It shows that you are serious about your business. You can't be in an interior part, or you can be in an interior part, the most interior parts of the world, and still make sales to people all over the world. It's via technology. So we must embrace technology. Now, in terms of what is the government doing in terms of policy, first is that apart from what we do, let me start with what we do at LSTF. LSTF was created deliberately to support MSMEs. That's all we live for. Support them with access to affordable finance, support them with business support services, training like, I think my sister from Union Bank was saying, Gloria, we train every month minimum 1 masterclass or webinar on accounting and bookkeeping, on HR, on legal clinics. So if you are running a business, you are asking yourself, oh, you have some legal issues, don't know how to deal. You can join any of our classes and then you get all those. So that's structure, providing avenue,
Okay.
and then also maybe at the federal level, like I said, there's ease of doing business. So these are some of the things that government currently does.
Thank you so much, our panelists. So I only have one question to accommodate. Who has a question for?
Do we have any questions from the audience, please?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's a privilege to be here. Although I wasn't that early, so I missed a lot of section regards to funding. I myself, I am the CEO of PT World, an IT firm in Computer Village. We sell gadgets and all sorts. Actually, I'm not advertising. So we've been in business since 2014, registered since 2014. So we need access to fund. Business are expanding. We have 15 to 16 teams. We need 60 to 80, 100 million. When you go to those banks, they tell you what you don't have. So I don't know how I can get a connect amongst the panelists, who can help us. We have all the data, we have the system, we have the account, everything is available, but a fund that would give us.
So I don't think you are not. You will be screaming every day. Go and write it down. Oh, where is receipt? Oh, have you collected receipt? Have you given receipt? Because after I went to LBS and they taught me that any transaction that does not have a receipt is not a transaction. Because every transaction there has to be an evidence, right? So there has to be a receipt. So I came back to my people said, I asked them to go and do that policy, and I did it. Receipt. So please, the only way to tell us that you're passionate and you really have a vision that you want to drive, you endeavor, you make it a must. Human beings will break the policies, they will try to frustrate it. If it is you, you might try to get complacent. But please let your vision and your passion be reminders that this is the only way out. It's just like a woman that is pregnant. the only way to bring out that child is through going to a doctor when you are 9 months and lying down and let them bring out your child. You won't say, oh, you struggle, you will stay in your bed when it's 9 months, the child will not, for the child to come out, you need to go to the hospital. That is how this is. For you to scale, you need to keep, or even do good business, you need to do your bookkeeping well.
Okay, sorry. Just to respond. So I won't quite say that she's not passionate. And here is why. Consistency is one of the hardest things to do, even as a human being. You know, we see every time you register for gym membership and then you don't go for the next 1 month after you do it 1 week. So you can't say that, you know, she's not passionate. But how do you fight consistency? This alarm for me to read a book because it's 12 o'clock every single day. So what I do, because I'm the CEO for Pepper, so my role cuts across all of this other things. So what I do is there is a task on several different calendars to say, okay, fine, what have we spent today? What have we made today? That's literally the title of that entry. And then I go pick whatever receipt is pending, go to the accounting software, enter it. Now, because it's very important. There are things that, you know, I can schedule for during the day or, you know, but for that particular one, for accounting in particular, I pick the time of the day that is least stressful to me. So I'm feeling all of this in by 1 a.m. because that's the time my brain settles. And I just put it in, go through, okay, fine, what am I missing? Is there something that, you know, what money did we spend, you know? And because all of these things go through banking software, so I just log in at that time, go through expenses, go through stuff, and then fill it in so that there is record. Sit down, look at your schedule in your phone, set it as a daily reoccurring. They will send an email 30 minutes before, then the phone will buzz 10 minutes before. So I'm getting basically 2 reminders to ensure that, you know, this is important to make sure it gets done. If you want to write it down, it's going to stress you out. So just have all of that sorted. There are times that you're going to forget, and there are times that something will come up. Maybe NEPA takes the light and you're not in the mood and all of that. The following day's reminder must not meet it.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to panel 1. Please, a round of applause for everyone in panel 1. If you have additional questions, as the panelists step down, you can all meet them and just continue the conversation from there. Thank you, panel 1. Can we stand for pictures, please? Thank you so much. Thank you, Satira, and thank you to the entire panel 1. Please just come together. All these photographers. Wow, wow, wow. This is a serious paparazzi situation. Are we good? I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to move on to the next set panel. Panel 2. Thank you so much. Thank you. I apologize if I'm rushing you off the stage. I'm so sorry. So moving on to panel 2. Panel 2, the topic is resources to run a profitable business. And I will be moderating panel 2. I'd like to invite the panelists on panel 2. I'd like to invite Akintunde Mariho, CEO, Utopia Media Group. I'd like to invite Dr. Oyenlola Yeti Ogunobi, CEO of the YD Company. I'd like to invite Oluwatoyin Inumidu Bakari, Executive Director, SAS Textiles Limited. SARS, SARS. You know what's SCAD already. Welcome. We have a panelist who should be joining us virtually. We good? Right. We have Debola Ajayi, the Chief Operating Officer, SICO. Joshua Chibeze, the co-founder, Chief Marketing Officer, Piggy Tech. Apologies. So we have our final panelist. She'll be joining virtually. Olashubomi Hassan, the Executive Director of Operations, Nestle. So while we're waiting for her, we'll just kick off the conversation. Right, while we're waiting for Olashubomi, we'll just continue the conversation. So we are discussing resources to run a profitable business, and I'm very big, I would say very proud citizen of Nigeria, so I like to keep my conversation within Nigeria because we have a lot of business owners in Nigeria here, so we're not running our businesses in the UK or the US. So I would first start with Dr. Yeti. As a successful business owner, you have over 19 years experience in your profession and in running a business. How can businesses gain a deep understanding? No, what sustainable resources and strategies did you implement to attain the business growth that YD company has today?
Good morning, everyone. For us, it's more about strategic partnerships, right? There's so many things that we do that involves third parties. We activate events, and we work with a lot of SMEs as well. And essentially, for them, as a startup business, they probably don't have enough funding. So what we then do is look for partnerships that could make their dreams come to reality, i.e. barter for possibly an event. An example would be if you're having an event and part of the budget is drinks, for example. I would try to see how I could get that for free for my clients, right? Essentially, the drinks organization as well are looking for numbers. They're looking for new customers, right? So that way they are getting what they need, and also we are getting what we need as well. So partnerships are quite key in what we do. Yeah.
So the first question I had was specific for Joshua, who is in here. Well, I'm going to put this out to all the panelists on stage, and I'll start with you, Akintunde, and then we'll just move. What are the critical resources for running a successful business in Nigeria?
Human capital.
Just human capital.
I can't overstress. A company is empty. What makes up a company are the human beings, from the cleaners to the accountants to the security men. It's from the experience. In Nigeria, I don't think we put a lot of focus on human capital. We always think about companies as entities, but do not understand that human beings actually make the company, the experience that customers feel.
when you say, oh, MTN is a great network, there are some engineers that don't sleep to ensure your data doesn't go off, and so on and so forth. So I believe the most critical thing is human capital.
Okay, we'll see that.
I second that, especially in my own industry, make up the business. They are the backbone of the business, essentially. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you to Business Day. It's an amazing event this morning. So for me, I think the most important critical resource is your skilled manpower, your human resource management, having good staff. We run an organization that is over 5 decades now. It's a transgenerational family business, and so for us, we deal in textiles. I've seen that your people must be passionate, you must have good staff, you must have excellent customer service. Your staff can either mar or ruin your business. Also, another critical resource for me is financial management. We just talked about access to finance. Like, Yvonne said, every receipt that you don't write, it's like it's not a transaction. I have an accounting background, so I learned it early. You must record all your expenses for your business, to be sustainable. And also, another very important thing is you must understand your local community. You must be adaptable. You must understand, have a good product knowledge of what you're doing. It's going to help you to be very sustainable and to, thrive in Nigeria. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. So just to add to what the other panelists have said, I think that understanding of a unique context as a country is very important, right? I think Nigeria is one of the most unique places to do business. If you've tried to do business outside Nigeria or interacted with other nationalities, you see that we as Nigerians are very peculiar. Everyone is trying to hustle you, right? From the airport down to your house. Nigerians, when we talk about hustle, I don't think there's anywhere else on this earth that hustles like Nigerians do. So in dealing, managing, deploying the human capital that we have, understanding that unique context in our environment is very important in growing a successful business. And I'll just second another thing she said, which is, that capacity to adapt, right? In business, we call it pivot. The rate of change in our economic environment is also very unique. We can sleep this night and wake up tomorrow morning and find out that your cost structure is times 6 what it was yesterday. Literally, there are very few I think places in the world where things happen like that are war zones. Maybe you are in Yemen, or you're in Somalia or something. So just being able to quickly adapt, being able to quickly pivot, our business environment demands that your strategy is lean, it's agile, and it's quickly able to respond to the environment so you don't find yourself out of business.
Thank you so much. I'm going to come to you, Oluwatoyin. So as an accomplished business entrepreneur and a business expert, how has the Nigerian business environment influenced your approach to resource management? You just talked about how you can wake up tomorrow and everything, everything has changed. So how have you adapted to, the ever-changing Nigerian business environment?
Okay, so one thing we've learned to be very resilient. And when I talk about resilience is that attitude that tells us we must never give up. You can wake up today and dollar was this, and tomorrow dollar is that. Now, do you give up? Are you going to say because of that you're going to shut down your business? Another thing I tell people is that you have to learn to be creative. You have to learn to be innovative. You have to learn to think out of the box. You have to have such an excellent spirit, because you have to do that thing that will make you to have such a unique value proposition. You must add value. You must add value. I'll give you an example now. I was, a customer from the UK called me yesterday, and she wanted a fabric for somebody in Nigeria, specifically in Abuja. And after I sent her the pictures, we attended to her. I went the extra mile. I said, we would help you to wrap it. I would even put a birthday card in it. So those are the things that you give them an experience, that they will not forget you. So the Nigerian environment, I tell people that we are our own government. One of our stores is in Surulere. We've not had lights. Very inconsistent. So you can imagine your customers coming to the mall. You're not allowed to bring in a gen. And we're selling with torchlights. And it's that resilient thing in us. I remember one day, a particular evening, my staff were, let's go home now. They said, no, we're not going home. Talking about manpower, have people that are passionate. And this woman came in. She was on her way to the airport. And we said, oh, we're so sorry, there's no light. She said, I will shop with torchlight. And she bought 3 fabrics with torchlight. So that resilience, that attitude that says, no, we'll not give up. That attitude that says, I know I'm offering something. I am too good to be ignored. That attitude that says, I understand the power of negotiation. So that no matter what it is, we've learned to adapt. We've learned to not compromise. And we've learned to maintain that excellent spirit and make sure we are adding value so that they will not forget us.
Thank you so much. Sorry, just before we move, I just want to confirm if we have one more panelist who has, we just want to confirm. Is Ire Ayomide from Endeavor here? Okay, so just, I wanted to confirm. Right, thank you so much. So, when you spoke a lot about resilience, and I mean, we're all business owners, and I know that Nigeria, it can be very stressful because there are some days that your resilience is on a zero. However, I'm going to bring this question to Akintunde, sorry. You say you disrupt trends, right? Consistently building, creating new opportunities. Technology is constantly evolving, right? And we're actually in an age where everybody's talking about, businesses are talking about digital transformation. What are the key considerations for adopting and integrating technology into business operations today? We're talking about resilience. There are different things that would also help when we talk about resources. So how does technology play a factor? So I have this question for Akintunde. Akintunde, sorry, I really apologize. And Debola.
Okay, so for me, technology just helps you optimize your businesses and ensures that your customers feel the impact on quickness in terms of delivery. Most important thing in business is how quickly you deliver quality. It is what I would call our silver lining in all the years that we've been doing business in Nigeria. So for me, technology just helps you optimize. If a process used to take maybe 4 or 5 days, and there are new softwares, and which is why you need to keep reinventing yourself. You need to be on the internet all the time. You need to understand what is new in your market, what has optimized. A lot of people now use iPlay for copywriting. I don't subscribe to it, but a lot of young, small SMEs do it if they are managing 1 or 2 pages. It helps them give more ideas, so they are quicker in terms of delivery. But there are certain principles that guide certain sectors. So it doesn't really apply, but that is just one application of how technology can help you optimize your processes.
Thank you.
So just to add to what he said and take off from there, optimization really is about resource adoption and deployment, right? Which at the core is what business is. You are bringing together resource at its core in different areas, and then you're deploying that resource to the market in a manner that that market can take advantage of it. So technology, when you think about adopting it into your business, you think about each functional area of every business, right? Every business has inputs. So how can you optimize your resource inputs to do more? Every business has how it's trying to reach its market, right? How it's trying to sell its product or service. How can technology help you scale that from, serving 1, 2 people to serving 100, 200, 300 people? You have costs, right, that you are recording manually. How can technology help you do that digitally such that it's easier, it's faster for you to keep those records and also translate to third parties? So when you think about technology, it's just about looking at each functional area of your business and going on a research to find out how can I, via technology, further control and better deploy the resources I am using in this area of my business. So I think that's a good way to look at it.
So I'm going to stay with you, Deborah. So you have experience in risk and compliance. You also you also consult across sectors. Operating in Nigeria often deals with regulatory bodies, just different complexities. How can businesses stay informed and comply with the ever-evolving changes when it comes to different regulations, and the organizations that, the regulatory bodies basically?
So I think the first answer for that really is to stay informed, right? Depending on the sector your business is operating in, because regulation too is a very sectorial situation. It's a sectorial matter. So some sectors have more stringent, much deeper regulatory frameworks than others. So whatever sector your business is operating in, adequate knowledge of the framework, of the regulatory framework in that space is important. And number two, depending again on the sector you're in, and also on the level or at the point in that sector's value chain you are involved in, you cannot afford, and that's another thing, when you become a medium-sized business, you can't afford to be cheap about, right? Regulation or dealing with regulatory frameworks usually requires specialized knowledge. Now, you as an entrepreneur, you started the business on an idea, on something you're passionate about, but you are definitely not jack of all trades in terms of the total knowledge base required to make that business a success. So when it comes to regulation and dealing with that, you need to hire, right? You need to hire competent individuals who have the specialized knowledge and skill set to deal with the regulatory requirements in that environment. In our space here in Nigeria, we wing things a lot. There's a lot of, we go rough farm, but you want to be careful, so make sure you're up to date and just make sure you hire right in dealing with that area of the business.
Thank you. One of the things that came to mind when you kept talking about the regulatory bodies, taxes. I think that's one thing that businesses always have issues with. I mean, I struggled with it at some point when I started my business because I didn't understand what you were talking about. But like you said, I think working with the professionals in those fields can help. Yes. I'm coming to you, Dr. Yeti and Oluwatoyin. So, we talked about one of the first question that I asked, that everybody mentioned human capital. I'm going to come back to human capital. So human capital, we obviously know is an essential part of running a business. How can businesses, retain top talent, in a competitive labor market like Nigeria?
I think for everybody, it's different. But after COVID, for us, we saw things differently. We're in a space right now that a lot of talent are leaving the country as well. Obviously, as a business owner, you invest your time in training them. And when you find those, good talents that, they then want to hop and leave, you don't want to also stop them, is also finding ways to work with them. For us, for example, we have some of our team members that are outside the country, they've left. However, I see them as valuable team members. So essentially, they don't work full-time, but now we've retained them as part-time, once a week, delivering this, and we're good to go. So there are different ways to work with people. It doesn't have to be 9 to 5 anymore, provided the person or persons can deliver on the job.
And provided that the terms and conditions are clear.
Absolutely. We also need to be a bit, lenient in how we do business. Things are totally different. An example is we are all going in the tech space, right? And for that, you don't really need too much hands anymore as well. So look for what is important for you as a business owner. The ones you can retain them. The ones you can outsource as well, you can do that as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so very interesting question. I tell people that business is all about people. You must, how do you see your staff? How do you see your team members? You must learn to see them as ambassadors. You must learn to see them as positive change. And so for me, it's that thing we call the expressive change. How do we care for them? How do we relate with them? In our organization, we have staff that have been with us for over 2 decades, 3 decades, but we've learned to see them as our family members. We've learned to empathize. We've learned to connect. We've learned to do the proper things. Because I tell people that your staff are your internal customers. And your internal customers have to be happy. If they are not happy, there is no way the external ones. So they are the first ones. So you must, first of all, train. You must keep on training, retraining. You must keep on, pouring out of yourself, onboarding properly, making sure that you're paying right. Those are the things, those little things that you do that go the extra mile. Those are the things that will make people to stand with you, and you see such passion. I remember once I was speaking somewhere, and a customer was calling, was during the era of COVID, so I couldn't pick up my call, and because it was a Zoom meeting. And I remember after the meeting, I said, oh, let me just call this customer back. And she said, oh, no, don't worry. One of your team members has called me. And, she called him and he responded. And I was like, this person she called was actually in hospital. And, he had just gone through a fire in his house. And, for me, that was the height of faithfulness and passion. Because even in the midst of their pain, they were still empathizing, they were still attending. So it's how you treat them, they will go the extra mile. That expressive change is very, very important for us as an organization.
Thank you. Just to add to it, I as well will talk about culture. You have to have a culture as an organization. What do you do? Like you said, they are brand ambassadors to your businesses. Beginning may be rough, but with time they will get to know your brand and work with that. Also, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? Yeah. We also try to do quarterly. We have engagements. We treat our staffs, just something to make them feel as their family, not just work. Yeah.
Thank you. You know why it was very critical when you mentioned, making sure that your staff or your team members are like family. There's something that and Dr. Yeti would know because she's also in the PR profession. We always say your staff, your first point of PR, because if you don't get it inside, if you don't get it right inside, you can't get it right outside. And I always like to use banks as an example. You walk into a bank and the network is so terrible, you're upset, and they're telling you, no, we're not like this. We're not like this. This is not how we are. Please just bear with us. Bear with us. So that's something that people, you might overlook it because at that moment you're upset, you're frustrated, but that's something that's very critical because they've been treated as very important stakeholders in that organization. And so moving on to the next question, I'm coming to you, Akintunde. Every industry comes with its own practices and ethics. In fact, I think this question is for everyone because you're all business owners. So every industry comes with its own practices and ethics, right? What are the unique challenges that certain businesses in certain industries face? It's not every industry is different in their practices and their ethics. But some industries are unique in their own challenges. What are the challenges that some of these industries face? So I'll start with you, Akintunde.
Well, it depends on what sector they are playing in. There are so many regulatory things. So I can say in the banking sector, where microfinance banks are not allowed to do certain transactions, where tertiary or what you call tier 1 banks are able to do. And that in itself is what determines how a industry is structured. Particularly, all I would say on this is ensure you are very close with your regulators. Ensure you are close with the governing bodies that govern your industries so you can understand, and constant engagement actually. This is something that has really improved over the last 5 years in Nigeria, where there is now more of the forum where they understand that it's not just, oh, this is what it is, but there's a forum for the people in the industry to actually give feedback. And sometimes you see regulators move, or you see them change or relax certain dispensations to ensure that there is growth in that particular sector. Thank you.
For us, I'm not sure we have any regulatory bodies or what's not, but it's more about the ethics of PR. They're just setting basic rules to, being transparent to your customers as well as to the public that you need to uphold. So I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so for us, we in our industry we face a lot of challenges, challenges to do with forex, challenges to do with tax. It depends on your location. But for me, I've always maintained that culture of compliance. I've always maintained the culture of positivity, doing things properly. I've also always maintained the culture of you must understand the industry you're in and make sure that you're adapting to it properly and doing things properly. And also, make sure you're passing the right values, because once you pass the right values, they will know what you stand for. So those are the ways we've overcome all these challenges.
Thank you. Debola, please.
So for me, let me speak for one industry that I'm in. A unique challenge that we face, because I do some work with cross-border payments in the fintech space. And internationally speaking, when you try to integrate with international partners, especially banking partners, right, as a Nigerian business, the compliance hurdles are significant, extremely significant. In fact, there are international partners who, once they see that, even when we register the business entity in an offshore location, that's another geography, just to get out of the Nigerian, the darkness that is over just the fact that you're Nigerian. When they check the directors of that company and they see that they're Nigerians, they just stop responding. The communication just shuts down. You send emails. For some of them, the moment they see that your emails are coming from a Nigerian IP, they don't respond. They don't respond to you. And this is simply because you're Nigerian. So for a lot of young people who are making milestones, especially in technology, especially in financial technology, this is a unique problem that we are facing, when it comes to that compliance, when it comes to that banking sector. So I don't know anybody here who is doing work in storytelling and PR, but we do need, because it's just about narrative.
You have PR professionals on your panel.
Yes. So I'm talking to you guys, right? We need to do a lot more work when it comes to the stories that are coming out of Nigeria, because it's just about, I was talking to someone recently and we're talking about, so you would think that human trafficking is very bad in places like Nigeria and in Africa. You need to go and check the statistics of human trafficking in the US. The number of missing persons in the US, you will be shocked. You will not believe what you would discover. So it's just about storytelling, right? Every country has fundamental problems. But I think one area we have not fixed our problem is our PR and the stories that we're telling about this country. And it's affected, for those people who travel a lot, for some people to tell you the experiences they go through at airports simply because you're using a Nigerian passport is gory. So I think that is one challenge, that storytelling, better PR, even our movies, Nollywood, let's all this,
you want to say something?
we can tell better stories to show our country in better lights, and it will collectively help everybody.
So this is fantastic. But I believe that storytelling is not the job of one person, but a job of a collective people. I have a media production arm, Arcadia TV. The sole reason why we started Arcadia was because we realized that there is no African media group that actually puts out positive stories on Africa intentionally. There is nothing like that. And isn't that weird in the 21st century? And we don't, and it is because we are full of, we have what I would call sustained trauma, because there's something every day that takes your attention off the good that we have done. So we always feel like we're in a disadvantaged position. But like you said, if you look at it holistically from a global view, we are actually doing great. Then you should ask yourself, why are they chasing Nigerians so badly everywhere? But if you also do research, we're the most populous black, highly educated race in the world. I think that's the reason why. So we should give ourselves a round of applause.
Yes,
and
please.
we should
I think
tell
we need
our
to clap
stories
out.
more.
And everybody has a story to tell. Well, the truth is that a lot of people are not coming out to tell their stories. A lot of people are hiding in their cages. They don't want to come out of their comfort zone. Normally, when I talk about SAS, I tell my story. I tell people that I'm that young girl at the age of 13. I was helping my mom on the shop floor. I tell people that at the age of 16, I was following her to the market. After I come back from school, I will follow her to the market to do her purchases. I tell people that at that age, she would send me to the bank to do her deposits. And at the age of 18, she had passed on. I mean, at the age of, when I was 18, she had passed on. She was just 48. And at that age, we had to take over that business. I was 18, my sister was 21. She was doing her NYSC. But today, we're 7 siblings. We're all working together. Our business is transgenerational. We have customers that my mother attended to when they were getting married. Now their children are getting married. Their grandchildren were still sustaining the business. And I tell you that it started from me reading a book, how to make that one-time buyer into a lifelong customer. What is your legacy? What story are you putting out there? We must never be shy to tell our stories. Thank you.
I think we should do a documentary on that. We'll talk to you after this.
I mean, business, they see what you're doing. So, thank you so much. I think that was such a fantastic, because I was going to say, we need to be better representatives of our country, Nigeria. No matter how hard the things can be sometimes, we just need to do better, because guess what? When we're done gallivanting, let me use that word, all over the world, America, and all that, we still come back. Nigeria is home. We always look forward to eating jollof rice. I mean, no country is going to do it better than us, and all these things. So thank you for that. We're talking about resources that would, to help a business be profitable. What are the essential traits, right, and qualities that, you mentioned resilience at the beginning. But besides resilience, what are the traits and characteristics, basically, successful business owners need to possess? Because, I mean, yes, we love Nigeria, but it's also a challenge. It's challenge in different places. Like you mentioned, you can wake up tomorrow and something has gone wrong. What are these traits that we need to have just to have the mindset to succeed in, I won't call it a volatile market, but a Nigerian market? So I would direct this question to Oluwatoyin and Akintunde.
Well, I will say this. First, think globally. A lot of Nigerian businesses always look at geography and think that your business is geographically wired to Nigeria. I don't think so. Especially in this modern age of technology and all the new things that are available to us. I mean, maybe 10 years ago it wasn't possible, but right now it is. And ensure that you can do your business over the borders, so it helps. I mean, that was our strategy coming out of COVID, when we realized that 95% of our income dried up immediately. Marketing gets hit first, and we had to diversify into other portfolios that we had been looking at. But more importantly, let's say for the creative industry, where I still play very strongly, what we started to do was offer our services in South Africa. And you would actually be amazed that in Nigeria, we actually have a very high threshold for professionalism and delivery on work, because of how robust and difficult our system is. So it's the best training ground, I say to everybody that does business globally. It's the best training ground, and it is the best place. But the word resilience, it is actually the foundation of a business owner in Nigeria. You have to, there's no box to think out of. You just have to think, you have to think broadly, you have to take time to re-strategize. A strategy that you came up with 6 months ago might not be working now. You need to figure out how else you need to go. So you're constantly thinking, you're constantly engaging, you're constantly looking at trends, and you're constantly saying, okay, if this happens, what happens next? And you can also forecast, and that really helps you.
Thank you.
Okay, so for me, I always tell people I'm a very strong advocate. That apart from being resilient too, there's something called personal development. You have to develop yourself. And so it's not just enough to say, oh, I'm doing this business. You have to upgrade yourself. I tell people, upgrade. You can't do everything by yourself. Go to business schools. I remember after we opened our first store, and we noticed that some of our customers were not coming again. They said, oh, they don't really do bridges, you know. And I remember I had to go to Faith Foundation. I had to go and learn corporate governance. I had to learn, because business is all about systems, structures, and processes. And one of the things I learned is that you must learn to work on your business, not just working in your business. A lot of us just want to work in our business. You know, you have to go the extra mile. You have to keep on strategizing. So personal development is very important. You must keep on improving yourself. You must focus on your core competence. You know, a lot of people are jack of all trades, master. You know, be known for that thing. Then also, I would never stop talking about excellent customer service. Be customer-centric, because your customers are the ones that will speak about your business. They are the ones that will tell your story. I remember in 1993, you know, just before my mom passed on, our business was just in one room in a house, and it was just called Jara Itaja. It didn't even have a name. I remember my mom asking me, where are all these customers coming from? And I told her that it's a case of A telling B, B telling C. She didn't have a business card, so she didn't even have bookkeeping. Although she had a record of all her customers, she would keep records, you know, doing things properly, that excellent. So those are things that will make you stand out. Focus on your core competence. Make sure you have that excellent spirit, and be focused. Keep on developing yourself. And of course, you would be resilient, as I always say. Never give up, because it's easy to give up in Nigeria. And why I always talk about resilience, we had that business that was affected by NSAS. 3 of our stores were vandalized. It was easy for us to say we're not doing again, but we didn't give up. We started again, whatever was left. And one thing I know is that in business, make sure you have a goodwill. Make sure that you are impacting your customers. Make sure you are impacting your community. It's so important. I remember the day of a xenophobia attack. They had come to ShopRite. We have a branch there. And they were going to attack our, you know, they had attacked shops around us, but our store wasn't touched. And I remember coming there the day after. And the taxi drivers, that community, they said, madam, we stood for you. Because I know that I stand for them as well. I remember going to LBS once, and my lecturer said, one day the rich will have nothing else. I mean, the poor will have nothing else to eat but the rich. It's your corporate social responsibility. How are you affecting your community? How are you giving back to them? How are you making sure that you are that light that shines? You know, so it's important. Make sure you are making a social change. You know, you're giving back, and it's positive, and people will stand up for you, you know, when there's trouble. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, down to my last question, and my question is for everyone on stage. So, let's discuss the future of business, the future outlook of business, basically. What are the emerging trends or opportunities that businesses should be aware of? And at least I would say the year has ended, but coming in the 2024 and, you know, other years, what are the emerging trends and opportunities that business owners should look out for, intending business owners or intending entrepreneurs should look out for?
Mine, for me, is globalization. Yeah, we're now in a global village, so I just think that going forward, your strategies to include how quickly can you operate in across the border, either Cameroon or Benin Republic or Ghana looking at how stable their currency is and vice versa, that matching that with the naira, seeing how you can hedge slowly but surely 10, 15%, 20% of your operation, understanding the nuances there, and then you keep building like that. I think that is, for me, the way to, especially if we're talking about Nigeria as a case study and how you want to survive and trend, I believe that is the way to go.
For me, it's branding. What makes you different from the other businesses around you? What makes you stand out? Positioning yourself, repositioning yourself, just making sure you are visible, both offline and having enough digital footprint to constantly making sure you're on top of people's mind. Thank you.
Okay, and so for me is taking your business from that place of being local to being global, investing more in technology so that at the touch of a button, they want to buy fabrics. We've created like an app, that just simplifies things, So for me, it's apart from being globalization, apart from improving in our digital space, making impact as well. Thank you.
So I think for me, talking about trends, as a business, you really want to know, in whatever sector or industry you're in, you really want to know what technology is doing in that space, right? You need to do the research, you need to be aware, because that's the fastest thing that can knock you off and that can knock you out. At the end of the day, consumers will prefer lower costs, faster service, right, to a lot of other things, right? And that's what technology does, right? Technology brings economies of scale fastest into a business process. So you need to know who is doing what in the industry that you're in, because the moment someone is able to create something in your space that brings that product or service cheaper to your customers and faster to them, you'll be in a fight that you most likely will not survive. So technology, that is one, undefeatable trend that you really want to keep your pulse on, know what's going on there, and be involved. Trust me, there's some, young people are doing crazy things, right? So there's a lot going on when it comes to
the audience. Any questions? Right, please, a round of applause for our panelists. This conversation can go on and on. So I'd like to thank Oluwatoyi Inumidu Bakari, the Executive Director of SAST Textiles Limited. I'd like to thank Dr. Oyinlola Yeti Ogunobi, CEO of the YD Company, Debola Ajayi, COO, SICO, Akintunde, I'm so sorry, I think I owe you something, because I'm so sorry, Akintunde Marinu, CEO, Utopia Media Group. Please, a round of applause again for our panelists. Please step forward for a photo session. Debola, please, sorry. Yes. Right, we're moving on to the next item, a fireside chat. And I'd like to invite Kemi Michael from Business Day, and she will be speaking to Sandra Chiso Wabali, Branch Manager, Union Bank. I'd like to welcome Sandra to the stage, please.
the SME, major needs of the SME, which is profitability and growth. So if the SME are actually okay, so if SMEs are looking out focused on profitability and growth, which means they're looking at sustainability, looking at being able to satisfy the immediate needs. Like other panelists have actually spoken about the SME and what the banks are actually doing for them. You would tell that the space, like 96% of the businesses out there are SMEs, so the banks are actually interested in this. So going into saying what are the challenges the SMEs actually face accessing funds. I would say mostly they say the banks actually ask them to go bring their father, their mother, you know, but in this case, for us as Union Bank, we'll say we lend, you know, facility, we give out loans unsecured. So the challenges you would say, okay, maybe SMEs will have to provide collateral, but for us at Union Bank at the moment, we lend to SMEs unsecured.
All right, that's actually a question I was about to ask, what exactly Union Bank is doing to that effect. But now, that aside, now, are there specific financial products or initiatives that Union Bank has for SMEs when it comes to financial support?
Okay, in terms of financial support, yes, we have lots of products surrounding the SME space. Like I had said earlier, they're unsecured mostly and tenured differently. We have the medium, the long term, and the short term. You know, for short terms, we have like the cash flow loans, which basically is unsecured. Like we don't ask you to go bring any collateral for that. We just see transactions in your account. Firstly, like everyone has said, go open an account with a bank. So ensure that you have an account. We see transactions coming through your account. We're able to give an account of where your business is actually located. You know, you're able to provide your rent receipts, evidence of, you know, some of those transactions with your suppliers, the percentage number of customers that you have. You know, we look at all of those things to be able to lend, you know, that's for cash flow loans. We also have the invoice discounting depending on what kind of business you're into. We have invoice discounting facilities. We have distributorship facility. We also have local purchase orders, so where you provide your invoices and we're able to confirm those invoices that they're authentic, and then, you know, we'll go ahead and lend. You know, but as said earlier in other panels, you know, we still advise that SMEs, as they grow, they need to also look into being able to invest in the collateral as they want, you know, their businesses to expand.
Now, talking about collateral, you know, more than half the time.
Can I say can I just add to what Sandra has spoken about?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just as she said, we understand at Union Bank that SMEs have two broad needs, for growth and for profitability, right? So she's spoken to what we do with respect to loans, which is that we lend unsecured. So our operating account speaks a lot to growth, attending to the growth need of the customer. Now, attending to the profitability need of the customer, even though loans also, of course, do that work, but loans speak a lot to growth. To address the profitability need of the customer, what we do at Union Bank is to make sure that the operating accounts of customers have such features that allow them to minimize their cost of transactions. The biggest cost of transaction today is what is called account maintenance fee. That is the traditional COT, which we're all very commonly familiar with. So what we have done with our operating accounts is to give businesses the opportunity to be able to either minimize costs or to totally take that, cost out of it, depending on, how they meet the conditions of the bank. So that way, they are able to minimize the cost. And on those accounts, we also pay interest to enable, the business owner be able, again, driven by our understanding of the need for the customer to be profitable. Now, in addition to that, because the question is, what are we doing to support SMEs? Union Bank has a proposition that is focused on women-owned businesses, women-led businesses, women-focused individual women. Even though I've spoken about women through all of this, it doesn't mean that the customer or the clientele that the businesses serve are women, in entirety. So a man can be involved in a business that is focused on women, and women can be involved in businesses that serve, different categories of people and gender. So through this proposition, the name of this proposition is Alpha Woman, Alpha for short. Through this proposition, we offer capacity. For the business owner. So these are ways that we attend to the needs of SMEs in Union Bank.
All right, thank you very much, Ayokumi. Now, the next question is going to be on talking about this SMEs and freelancers. Is there something Union Bank is doing for these SMEs when it comes to advising? I know that a lot of SMEs start up business because they feel like they know what they're doing or they have an idea as to what they're doing, but they don't exactly know how the market is or what to do at some point. So is there like a line that Union Bank has for that?
Well, I wouldn't say a line, like you say, maybe you want to talk about like a facility line or a loan line.
Phone number.
Or a contact number where they can reach. Now, okay, like he had mentioned about Kula. You can also go on the website where it's kula.work. Kula brings people, it's like a business hub where it brings people for some SMEs that will require services of a legal personnel and they don't have that in their organization. So it's a hub where you can actually be able to meet with like a lawyer who would be able to provide the services that you would require. So if you check cola.work, you should be able to get more information on that. We also have a standout side where you can meet with some of our relationship managers. They would engage you and give you a breakdown of some of other products that you would require in terms of business growth. Like Ayo Kunumi has mentioned, like the Alpha Woman, where you also have current accounts that little or no COT, or now called account maintenance fee. So the bank is quite able to manage the cost of the SMEs. So in terms of contact, I'm available. I have my colleagues around here as well that you can also reach out to be able to access whatever products that we have. Apart from saying that we are here, normally whatever gaps there are in terms of the businesses, in terms of advices, when a relationship manager meets with our customers, like the SME, they're able to engage, and whatever gaps there is, we're able to advise there and then on which products suits which organization or which sector that you're operating in. Thank you.
All right. Now, I would also like to know what your communication and trust building for these SMEs are like. I know you've mentioned that you have cooler.work where they can go on and register and be part of that community. Now, when it comes to communicating with these SMEs, is there a particular platform that Union Bank has for that?
Let me take that.
Okay.
Can I take that?
Yes,
go ahead.
Okay, great. So, of course, communicating with customers is, you have to use both the traditional channels and the social media. And because we have boots on ground, we have people on ground, we also use them. So we communicate to customers through SMS, email. Of course, we use the print media above and below, channels. And then we're very active on social media. So you can follow Union Bank on any of the social media handles to keep up with updates, and the things that we have on offer. One of the things that we also do and place a lot of value on is that our relationship managers are trained to be effective in customer engagement. So they are able to engage with customers to not only tell them what the bank is doing, but to offer professional advice to customers where they identify gaps in the way that they run their business. Just very recently, we took a trip to the south, to the southeast, and at the engagement we had with the customers, we called their attention to a few things that they ordinarily would be afraid of. For example, the matter of taxes. And we explained to them that, look, for an SME, there's just how far you can go if you're not operating your business as an enterprise separate from yourself. Okay? There are certain businesses that you will not be able to get into. There are certain opportunities you will not be able to take advantage of. And the reason why they do this, they run a lot of their operations on in their personal name. Of course, we know it's because of issues around taxes. So we explained to them that what they should do is, rather than try to face a taxman by yourself, engage the services of an accountant who understands the language of the taxman and is able to demonstrate to them that sales is not equal to profit, which is that's usually the bone of contention. The taxman wants to take tax on sales, but really he should be taxing profit. So you need an accountant to be able to demonstrate this and to the taxman, for the taxman to really get off your back. So apart from communicating what the bank does and the bank offerings to customers, we ensure that our relationship managers are equipped with the right skills to be able to provide professional services to customers. If on the go, provide capacity development even on the go. We had a train-the-trainer session through an event, through an initiative with the Development Bank of Nigeria about 18 months ago, where the technical assistant of Development Bank of Nigeria trained Union Bank staff to be able to train customers in capacity development. So we do all of these things to ensure that we provide a good experience to customers, and of course work with them as partners and not just customers of the bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ayakumi. Now, to wrap up, I would like to know, does anybody have any question? We're taking just one question. All right, in the absence of... Okay, let's hear it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. My question is, even though I was supposed to ask it in the first section, I have a friend who is an SME. She is currently running a business, and she secured a market. She needed to supply some materials locally, and she approached the bank. She had a time frame for that supply, so she approached the bank and she asked the bank to give her a short-term loan, which has taken a lot of time, and at the end of the day, she ended up missing this business. I want to ask, what are the banks doing to streamline this process, to make it easier for SME, aside of the fact that it's no collateral, process of picking them with your own hands and taking them through this journey. So what are banks doing to streamline this, most especially Union Bank?
Okay, Ayok, okay, I'm taking the question. I'll
Yeah.
take it. Right, so...
You go first, yeah.
Okay, straightforward, right? From other panelists, you would hear most of them said, firstly, open an account and let's see transactions that run through your account. I wouldn't know what had actually happened to your friend in terms of saying it took a while, but you see, when transactions run through your account and then we're able to look and see the turnover on that account and then the monies that you're required of us, when you say finance or you say loan, it seems like a big word. Now, when you come to the bank and say you want to borrow money, right? These monies are the terms and conditions that's surrounding this lending, right? Firstly, you should have an account. For someone that does not have an account, how would you get money from the bank? How would we be able to tell that you have money that is going in and money that is coming out, that you have real transactions, in as much as we also have to go confirm that invoice that have come in for your local purchase. We also have to ensure that you also have the capacity to be able to manage what has actually been given to you now. If we're not able to determine that, then it's a challenge, being able to offer or approve a facility for such a person. So I would say, firstly, have your account opened, discuss with a relationship manager that will guide you through whatever request there is, and then they're able to tell you what product exactly it is that you would require. And you see, when you engage a relationship manager and get that advice, the certain product that you will require would be what they would apply for. And for us at Union Bank, that does not take time because we already have a product set for such kind of customer. So you come, you tell us what your business is, and then we tell you, oh, go for this, and then we'll.
All right, thank you very much. Ayokumi, do you have anything to say?
Okay, so I would, because we don't have the full details of the case study, if I can put it that way, in question. In addition to what Sandra has said about keeping a retrievable history of transactions of your business that shows stability, that shows consistency, that shows reliability, right? Because if anybody is going to, even you, if you will be lending money to someone unsecured, you want to be sure that the person will be able to repay you by asking a few questions. When is your salary going to be paid? What do you do? And the rest of it. So in addition to that, I would also say that we need to make sure that we guard our relationships very jealously. Business people should guard their relationships very jealously. Relationship with your suppliers, relationship with your customers, relationship with, people maybe within your association, businesses within your geography, because in a lot of cases, if not all cases, right, what you find is a bank finding ways a banker will find an informal way to get information about you before he will lend to you. Okay? And and the way we do it is that we actually ask, the same way we would ask you about somebody that you likely would know, or we expect that you should know, who wants to borrow from the bank. It's the same way we would find out from someone else about you, okay? So if the information we have about you is not something that is comfortable, then accessing the facility that you want can be a challenge. Sometimes the people that the banker will speak to are your staff, because if your staff are not well treated, it speaks a lot about your character. If your colleagues or your customers or your suppliers or the people that you exist together in a market geography do not give good recommendation about you, it speaks to your character. And the thing about the biggest of the 5 C's of credit, right? The one item that has the biggest weight is character. A customer can have the means or capacity to be able to repay a loan, but the character, if there's a lack of character, it will not repay that loan. Okay? So I just want to say that please guard your relationships jealously. Let it be clear. Let people be able to say that, oh, I know this person, and it's somebody who is credible that you can lend money to and you can go to sleep. Because bankers will always make inquiries about you. Even when you have collateral to provide, bankers will always make inquiries about you before granting the facility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ayokumi. And with that, we have come to the end of this fireside chat. Thank you so much for listening. Please put your hands together for them. Thank you. Do it like your hand is not paining you. Thank you. Also clap for me. Thank you.
So please, the pictures, please.
Thank you. How do I join this photography now? All right, bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you very much. Okay, so quickly, we're moving on to a 5-minute conversation with Sadiq Badmos. He is the product manager at Afri Health. Sadiq Badmos, please. Just 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Please, can we clear? Thank you very much.
So yeah, Rigo Plus gives you access. It gives you the affordability and the reliability with healthcare. Rigo Plus is the future of healthcare, and that future is here today. It's called Rigo Plus. So Rigo Plus is our flagship product here at Afri, and I'll be trying to introduce you guys to our product. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Rigo Plus by AfriHealth.
You say in life, one major thing is important, staying healthy. Healthy? Really? Yes, of course, because it's important that you know what to do, and that's why you need a doctor.
I beg, I don't get time for doctor when I sabi with you.
Not yet. I am talking about doctors who are up to date and qualified.
I always have to go to the hospital to see a doctor, but the wait time is tiring, and I don't want to lose my client.
Now that's why Rigo Plus app is here. You can save time, jump the traffic, beat the hospital queues, and access healthcare services with just one tap.
What is Rigo Plus?
Rigo Plus is the medical super app. You can connect to qualified doctors virtually at any time or any day. You can order medications and get them delivered to any location of your choice. You can even order an ambulance in a medical emergency.
So what have we been waiting for?
That's because whatever you've been waiting for is now in the palm of your hands.
So how do we get the app?
So it's simple. Visit the Google Play Store or the App Store to download. Sign up and you are on your way to having your best healthcare experience ever.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
You see in life, one
that
way.
is Rigo Plus for you. So basically, Rigo Plus is healthcare that is just a click away. You can speak to doctors, order prescriptions, and in time of need, or basically when you have emergencies, you can order for an ambulance all from your phone, the way you do with Bolt, Uber, and any one of them. Because we believe we are your beacon of hope when it comes to emergencies. So Rigo Plus is not just a product. We are basically giving you a way to control your healthcare. We are giving you a way to take control of your healthcare in your palms. So we launched Rigo Plus 6 months ago, and within that period, we've been able to have over 17,000 users. We've completed over 2,450 consultations in that period. We've been able to deliver medications to at least 900 completed medications. And the one that's most important, saving lives. We've saved over 28 critical lives at that point. So Rigo Plus is here, and we are here to stay. But thinking about it, we felt like, nah, we can still do more for you. So we are introducing the Rigo Plus healthcare plans. What does the Rigo Plus healthcare plan mean, ladies and gentlemen?
Seeking professional medical consultation has never been easier. But then, you have Rigo Plus. Introducing our subscription plan for the ultimate medical service. With our subscription plan, you have access to a network of experienced doctors right at your fingertips. Scholar plan, Paddy plan, Maternity Plus plan, Senior Care plan, and Family Care plan. Say goodbye to a long wait and say hello to a convenient virtual consultation. Connect with doctors from various specialties, discuss your health concerns, and get personalized guidance. Our doctors are here to listen, diagnose, and provide the care that you deserve. What are you waiting for? Take control of your health today. Choose a subscription plan that suits you best. Subscribe now and experience the convenience and expertise of Rigo Plus. Seeking professional.
So that's the Rigo Plus subscription plans. These are not just regular plans. These are plans tailored to you and I, wherever you are or whatever, as they say in our own area, your pocket is. So we come all the way from our party plan to our family care plan. And what makes this interesting is Rigo Plus plans is not just for you and I. For businesses and SMEs, we have the Rigo Plus corporate and business plans. So this means you as an entrepreneur or as a business owner can have the Rigo Plus plans for your users. That is, and your employees. So they are able to be on a plan courtesy of the company. So they don't need to tell you, boss, I really need to leave. I want to go to the hospital or see a doctor now. Just take your phone and get into the break room and talk to a doctor, please. So to learn more about the Rigo Plus business plan, you can go to business.rigoplus.com and find more about our plans and offerings there. But if you would love to join the Rigor Plus train as a regular user, you can scan this code right now. And if you use this referral code from today, you would have 15% off your purchases and consultations while you use this. Well, Rigor Plus is here to stay. And if you would love to learn more, our booth is over there. You guys can join, learn. Rigor Plus is the future of healthcare, and the future of healthcare is at home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause. If you have questions for him, they have their booth outside, and you can just continue from there. So we're moving on to the next panel. I would like to ask all the audience members, please, can you come forward, please? Let's fill the seats in front, please. Please, let's just come forward. Please come forward, please. I can see Tim Rigo. Please come forward. Come forward, please. Let's fill up the seats, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please, let's fill up the seats. So moving forward to panel 3. Panel 3 would be discussing technology adaptation for SMEs. There's so much time for networking. Let's just enjoy what Business Day has curated with absolutely brilliant business owners. So I would like to welcome the moderator for panel 3, Leila Balde. Please, a round of applause as I call all these prestigious people, please. Joining her on the panel would be Ayo Bankole Akindoje. Akintoje, yes, I'm so sorry. God, please. Strategy and transformation professional. Damola Richard Salvador, Managing Director, DigiSplash. Dr. Samson Olatunde, Founder and CEO of Knowledge Digest Africa. Please give them a round of applause as they come on stage. Ekundayo Ayeni, CEO Business Plus USA. Eze Adichie Michael Onyeka, Founder HealthSoft. Please give them a round of applause. And finally, Jeremiah Mayowa, CEO Gerald Limited.
Thank you so much. I'd also like to invite Joshua Chibweze, who is he's a co-founder and chief marketing officer at Piggyverse. Let's put our hands together for him. Wow, I'm definitely the only woman here today. I feel a bit intimidated. I hope you guys will be nice to me. Okay, I think we need some extra seating. So, Joshua, why don't you have a seat here? I can stand. That's my phone. All right, so I'm very excited to get this panel session going on adaptability of tech for SMEs. But before we get started, could I please ask the audience members to kindly stand up a little bit? I think people are a bit tired of sitting, so let's just stand a bit. If you could please just indulge me, I would really appreciate it. Let's just stretch, stretch your arms, say hi to your neighbor, make sure that you shake off any Friday stress. Thank you guys for indulging me. Clap for yourselves. So, as introduced by the wonderful, you guys can all sit, thank you. Sorry. So, as she joins the panel, this is quite a large panel. So, today we're going to be talking about technology adaptation for SMEs. As we know, SMEs make up 90% of global businesses and employ 7 out of 10 people globally. With the onset of COVID-19 in 2020, a lot of businesses had to quickly adapt and become technology businesses or adapt to technology. So my panelists have already been introduced. So I wanted to just start by asking each and every one of you a quick question. do you consider technology to be a friend or foe for SMEs in Nigeria? So just say yes or no, and then we can get started. Do we have mics for the speakers? All right, so maybe we'll just share. So please go ahead. Is technology a friend or foe for SMEs in Nigeria?
Technology is our best friend.
Best friend, thank you.
Yes, technology is our best friend. Yeah, same. Technology is our best friend.
Yes. Okay, I will say yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so welcome, Arabella. Very happy to have you. One of the questions that I was asking all of the panelists is, do you think that technology is a friend or foe for SMEs in Nigeria? So if we get her to please answer that question, and then we'll go straight into the panel.
Thank you. Yes, it's a friend.
All right, so it seems like all of our panelists believe that technology is a friend. If you've been looking at the news lately, you'll see OpenAI has been in the news for various reasons. And as we saw the onset of artificial intelligence, a lot of people seem to think that while technology can be a friend, it can also very much be a foe. So it'll be interesting to explore that. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start with you, Joshua, because you run PiggyVest, which is one, of the most popular savings apps in Nigeria. You also happen to be an Endeavor company, which is quite a huge deal. You started your company as a digital-first company, right? So it wasn't like you had to adapt to technology. What advice do you have for businesses that didn't start out as digitally native companies in terms of adapting to technology and embedding technology into their everyday business?
So I think technology is very, very important. It's very important for scale. If you're a small business today and you still operate, let's call it manually, it doesn't help you grow very quickly. Internet penetration has gotten so deep. People now have more smartphones. People are able to afford to buy more smartphones. People can afford to browse the internet. People want services very quickly on their phones. You want to buy a cake. You're not thinking of entering a bus to go somewhere to buy that cake. You want to quickly just send a message to someone on your phone and actually purchase that cake. So everything is coming online. Even businesses who have existed for years are finding ways to bring their services online because that's where everything is. So it's very, very important. Like I said earlier, it helps you scale very, very quickly. You can reach more people faster, right? So I think it's very, very important.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So technology can help you scale. So Ayo, I'm going to come to you now. From your perspective, could you share an example of a successful technology implementation within Nigerian SMEs? Specifically, could you outline specific benefits that technology has brought to Nigerian SMEs?
Hello? Okay. I mean, that sounds like an exam question, but... Oh, okay, yeah, so I'll try. He just finished talking. So PiggyVest is one of the obvious successful cases.
So can we use another example, not PiggyVest?
Yeah, but I'm going to get there. First and foremost, as an SME, it's important that you retain your earnings, right? Most SMEs are owned by individuals, from data. And because of that, it's difficult for them to save or retain earning because cost is very high. So yeah, PiggyVest is very important. There are also a few other startups. There's Flutterwave and their SME marketplace. There's Paystack, for payments, and also the SME marketplace. Our partners, SME Mall, they've created a very beautiful marketplace that SMEs can sign up to access services from professionals and also trade their own services. There are so many. To be honest, everybody's, yeah. So then there was a second leg of the question, which is,
You know, let me ask you this question. Since you're a strategy and transformational professional, right? You've advised various businesses on how to become digital. Your bio says that you've advised over 120 companies with revenues of over 4 billion, right? So if there's a company in the audience, what are some of the digital strategies that you've seen that are trends in 2023?
okay, so depends on the growth curve of that company. So if your company is at between nano and small stage, then it's important that you adapt technology that can help you keep your basic transactions, your basic finances, and go to market faster. So let's start from transactions. First and foremost, you need to adapt very nimble, very simple technology platforms that help you track your sales, that helps you track invoices, that helps you track expenses, that is very easy to adopt. You can use it on your phone. We just launched a product called Federal Cash. It can help you create invoice, keep logs, and at the end of every period, you can download your report, right? And then you can use that if you're in conversations with fundraisers, with funders or anything. Now, in terms of tracking sales, or managing your customers or going to market faster, there are also a lot of simple technologies now, homegrown solutions that you can use to keep your call memos, your conversations with your clients, the opportunities and what type of opportunity it is, the qualification of such opportunity, and proactively manage your existing clients and the opportunities in that pipeline, right? And then the third leg is your ability to manage your operations faster. This will depend on the industry or the business that you are in. If you are in a technology-first business, then you may have to build, or you may have to partner with those who already have similar solutions off the top of their shelf, and you can easily adapt and nimble. There are so many other ways for tax compliance or whatever it is, but I think it's always easier to look at the type of your business and the growth curve of your business, and if it's best to do it internally or partner, collaborate with others. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm coming to you, Ekundayo Ayeni. You're the CEO of a company called Business Plus. It's also a digital transformation company. One of the advantages of the digital nature of where the world is going is that it allows businesses to perform and to have businesses across borders, right? So I know that you have operations here in Nigeria, but you also have a US arm of your business. So could you tell us specifically how the advent of the digital nature of our ecosystems has helped you do business across borders?
Okay. I will say good afternoon to everyone once again. And so being across different borders, now we now also operate in the French-speaking countries. So it becomes a bit, how like difficult for me to even understand some client communicate at some point. When they're communicating, you're struggling to understand that. So we have to build infrastructures that allows us have better interpretations, because the clients who are operating with tells you they want to cover across Africa, and you're having other people speaking different languages that you don't even understand, even the local dialect. So first, adaptation of technology helps you get the right people to work with you. You build a new community in a new terrain. Style of doing business is totally different. And then crossing to the US is a different ball game. So in Nigeria, we do a pitch, we explain, we look at what you want to do, we execute. In the US, the reverse is the case. Sometimes you want to look at what you can deliver. You do one page pitch, you don't deliver your strategy. Hello? Okay. What they want to know part-time is, what are we doing? In Nigeria, you do like maybe 70% upfront payment. Traditionally in the US, you do mileage payments. Style of business like escrow payments. We're beginning to have that here. So it's very popular in the US space, where I pay you for a service, somebody holds the money. When the service is delivered, both parties say yes, then the money is released. Okay. So we're trying to get to that space here in Nigeria. Then you have things like, maybe you're building a website, and they say when you deliver the front end, by the time you do this, you get X amount of value in terms of your payment. We try to introduce that as technology goes here in Nigeria, but typically I see this payment of, if you don't pay me 70% up front, what I want, I won't do business with you. And that's what a lot of SMEs face. When I started my business, that's what we used to do too. We still do that with a lot of clients because you know your next payment can be a lot of trouble. I guess I'm not the only one in the room having that problem, right? So in those other spaces, you would have to experience the fact that it's a pair paying you based on what you've delivered, or you get a little payment, you deliver to the point of payment, then you move to the next thing. Agreements are honored because of the two different places where we operate. So in Nigeria, you can move the needle a bit, and because it's a tradition of who knows who in some cases. Some organizations owe you money and they don't care. But you know, technology has even brought out a lot of things. You've seen stories about horrible bosses. You've seen stories about people calling out their bosses for not paying, all of those things online. Here, that other side, technology just makes it easy. You make reports. You can be a whistleblower and you make a lot of money. In Nigeria, the person who blows the whistle can finally be in prison. So that's the way it works. Go blow whistle for EFCC, and if the man pays them better and all of that, and things happen, you can end up in prison. So it's a lot of to have the story of technology on different sides, and the way we take technology here is different. Like in communication, one of the lines of communication, we did the project for a state, and we discovered that information move faster on Facebook in that state as compared to what we think Instagram and Twitter will do here. And politically, they are being influenced using the Facebook than the regular platforms that we all go on. You know, Twitter, you are trending. It's of no use to them. So just understand the balance, understand the tradition, understand what works for you. I'll just give a quick example. There was a time we did a non-inventory business in the office. So we were trying to get people to learn how to sell without having inventory. And, you know, we had an open class of 100 people who went into the market, just get the price, list it, and sell. And the guy who sold the most sold over 200 phones within a 4-week span without inventory, no storage, nothing. All you just need to do is to get somebody who is willing to buy. Then we'll get somebody we'll place an order. You make maybe a difference of 7,000 to 10,000 naira on it. And the guy made a very good sale during that period. And now he's opening a big shop, as in like a mega shop. It's a popular name, so I can't be calling that. It will be free promotion here.
That's a really interesting example. I think it speaks to trust. Ideally, you would think that we would be trusting of one another, but there's a lot of fraud that happens actually online and with technology. So that actually brings me to my next question, which is for Ezadichi Michael Onyeka, who's the founder of Wholesoft. Wholesoft is a professional services company in Nigeria that provides information and technology for small and big-sized companies in Nigeria, Africa. So my question to you would be, given the fact that you've worked with over 3,500 entrepreneurs, you've trained them and also worked with private and public sector organizations, we're talking about digital and technology as if it's a given, like everyone is a digital native, which is not the truth, right? There are huge skills gap within the digital space. So I'm wondering if you could speak to some of the challenges that people and organizations face when trying to adapt to technology. That was for you. Yeah, that was for Ezadichi. Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So last 2 years, we implemented a project for a state government where we trained at least 450 MSMEs. And we found out that internet penetration was one of the factors that we faced, because we went deep down into the remote village to train these MSMEs. But we found out that within that particular state, those in the city were more receptive in terms of what we are communicating to them compared to those inside the remote village. So because of the advent of COVID, there's need for MSMEs, individuals, entrepreneurs to have these digital skills being transferred to them. However, one of the issue again is funding, because during that period, there was no fund anywhere, but we had to get sponsors to pay for this training. And we noticed that because of the payment from these different sponsors, we were able to implement the the training effectively for these MSMEs. And also, we noticed that because of the advent of COVID, there's need for these MSMEs to come online to sell their product. And if you look at what is happening right now in the digital space, everyone is selling on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram. Most of them wants to still sell on Google. So there's need for them to get e-commerce website to sell their product. But there's an issue, and that issue is one, you can have a fantastic product, but you don't have any customer to buy your product. So we noticed that as part of the case study, we had to now start introducing them to different Google products. And at least, as an individual, if you're aware of at least how to use 90% of Google products, you are successful already online. First of all, you have to start from your Google search engine optimization, social media marketing, PRO, online reputation management, then analytics. So we had a lot of challenges, but we were able to overcome them, because if you look, we have lots of materials now online. So you can see, and most of those materials are free. Either you're using Coursera or you're using the Google digital shop to get those particular information. So we engage them through practical classes and also through online, and also integrated them into an e-commerce, an e-learning portal. They were able to achieve a lot of results. And if you look at what is happening right now globally, like my friend talked about, cross-border, most of these businesses, entrepreneurs that we trained, they were able to export their product outside Nigeria to Europe. Even some of them called me, said, do you know what, we're making money now in dollars, in euro. And I was surprised, you understand? But it was just a 3 weeks training, intensive training, that we engaged them. So technology is very important, and in this era of digital skill, there's need for businesses, individuals. Imagine a 60-year-old lady called me 3 weeks ago, said, do you know what, I want to learn digital marketing.
Wow.
And I was surprised. And he said, I've paid for my daughter to go and learn this training. She couldn't learn anything much, but I myself wants to do it. And guess what? She said, in December, that she'll be retiring from civil service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to go into, and I said, okay, what do you want to do? She said she has an agricultural, like a farm, and she wants to be able to sell her product online by herself. You understand? So, with the whole information we have out there, there's no barrier. Anyone at any time can come up to learn these particular skills and be able to fulfill their dreams in this digital era. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. I mean, I think it's great. At 50 years old, wanting to learn digital marketing, that's wonderful. Allow me to welcome Olasubomi Hassan, who is joining us online. She's the Executive Director of Operations at New Classes Africa, which is a technology company focused on equipping HMOs and care providers, as well as businesses with the requisite technology to manage operations and access data. Welcome, and we'll be coming to you when we talk about health. But my next question is actually for Damola. Do you have a mic? Yeah. So, one of the really interesting things about digital and the advent of technology is that raising finance becomes a little bit more interesting, right? You're seeing more platforms that are helping SMEs specifically with raising finance. You have a very impressive background. You've done quite amazing things globally as well as locally. Do you have any advice for SMEs that are looking to raise finance, and how can they use technology to increase their chances of raising finance for their businesses?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So, afternoon. So I'll say, in terms of finance, my background is more marketing than finance. But what I'll say is, like my colleague from Piggyverse mentioned, technology makes the world a smaller place. So You know, what you post here, someone can see it in America. I'll give an example of maybe Ikorodu Boys. So I'm sure that we all know them. They went viral, and they got, you know, funding from companies in America. And all it started with was just a post on YouTube and Instagram. You know, people started to retweet, repost it, you know, and they put out a video of wanting help from, you know, they just said if only we could work with this person. And it got all the way to a Hollywood producer. They got sponsorships from Canon, Sony, you know. So I'll say, based on like marketing, you can have a fantastic service, but if people don't know about it, then the chances of you getting funding is zero.
Right.
You know, and what technology does for us is it doesn't limit you to your geographical location. You know, the world is a smaller place. So you need to put out your stuff. So on social media, wherever you are, no matter how small the service you're offering is, I always say that you shouldn't really focus on technology. Focus on your goals and your objectives. Then you use technology as a goal to achieve your goals and objectives. So if you're looking for funding, the aim is to get more money in. Maybe you need to scale or whatever you're trying to do. Then you look for the technology that helps you achieve that goal. So in terms of finance, who are the people that you're trying to, who are the people that can finance you? Then how can you get in their eyes, like how can they see you?
Right.
The other speaker had mentioned things like search and things similar to that. So people looking for, okay, let me use the example of a film. So I have a friend that is currently working on a film, and he's looking for funding for his film.
Okay.
And basically what he's done is he's started to do search ads for people that are searching for film funding in Nigeria. So African people that are looking to invest in Africa. That alone, he has gotten a few potential leads. He wouldn't have gotten that information without technology. So think about your objective and look for the right tools that can help you achieve them. Look for the technology that helps you achieve those tools. So yeah, that would be my addition. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. Arabella, I'm coming to you. From a storytelling perspective, right, and production, I mean, he mentioned the fact that SMEs should ensure that they tell their stories on social media, but you'll often find business owners saying, oh, I don't know how to use social media, I don't really know how to create content, I don't know what it means to tell my story effectively. As we've seen, marketing can actually help you increase the amount of funding that you get for your business. So from your perspective, what would you say to an SME owner who says that they don't know where to start when it comes to storytelling, they have no idea where to get started when it comes to telling their SME story? So what advice would you give them?
That's a great question, actually.
Thanks.
I think it's very easy to listen to some of the really key global players on this stage and feel as if your idea doesn't initially feel grand enough, then it's not good enough.
Right.
And the interesting thing about ideas is it starts with a vision. Most ideas starts with, it comes from somewhere. And I mean, I'm a writer, so a lot of times when I'm given work to do and it can kind of feel like it's just work, I have to tell myself I'm channeling from a place that carries vision or carries some kind of like experience that I ought to be sharing from. So that's the first key thing I'll say is storytelling isn't just about it sounding good. It has to be authentic. It has to be your thing. And
like
nobody
that.
else is going to do your thing like you. It sounds very cliche, but there's only one you that exists in the world. You have people who have, you know, share names, but they carry different meanings and weights. So that's really the first key thing with storytelling is it has to be authentic. And then when it comes to using technology to illustrate that authenticity, I don't know how else to say it. It has to look like two things. It has to look like what makes you you.
Right.
The best example I can give for this, I've worked in PR as well. And a lot of times we had clients coming from the same industry. That's entertainment, music, film, all sorts. And a lot of times when we were doing PR plans and comms plans, there was a standard template. Sorry, anyone who's in PR business, I'm outing all of us, but there's a standard template that you apply for a client initially when they come and they do a consultation. You say, okay, this is what we're thinking, and then from that sort of template, ideas come. You know, you branch out in terms of, okay, this is probably what it will look like if you have an Instagram page, but we can do this to make it look a bit different or make it look a bit more you. So it's okay to have a standard template. There's a standard way, you know, that's what algorithms are for. There's a standard way that Instagram, you know, is used, Twitter, whatever else, but you need to add your own flair. You need to make it look like your motto or your vision or your mission statement or whatever. Those are probably the two key things that I would say.
Yeah.
And other than that, I like everyone or most people have said here, like technology is pushing us forward. We don't have a choice. We don't have the luxury of kind of going, I'm not really a social media person. You don't have to be a social media person, but you do kind of have to do it. And I'm saying this more especially for MSMEs. You do have to find a way to adapt. I can't stress this enough. Find a friend who knows a friend who can like figure out how to use Instagram. Find someone who is gonna help you for free. You know, mentors are for the most part for free. Like, you know what I mean? Find people who can support you. It's not just about finding a $3 billion fund for your company. We get carried away with the global players doing all those things.
Right.
But MSMEs actually are for us here. They're for our locals, and then eventually scaling, you have the opportunity to go beyond borders. But really and truly, if we can't cater to ourselves here in Nigeria, then what are we going to Ghana and Cameroon for? You know what I mean? People here have needs, so let's try and meet those needs in ways that make it easy, ways that make it accessible. And to be honest, especially in this landscape, social media for me is one of the key ways we can do that.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you so much, Arabella. Dr. Sampson, I'm coming to you next. Dr. Sampson is the founder and CEO of Knowledge Digest Africa. You're a digital entrepreneur, a digital marketing strategist, and global brand builder, consultant, philanthropist with over 10 years of experience. So I'm wondering if you know, from the digital marketing perspective, we've heard Arabella talk about the importance of social media and telling your story authentically, right? I'd like you to add to what she said. What are your thoughts on what the role of social media is for SMEs?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I think this is an interesting conversation. First, I think that there's a knowledge gap for many people. When people get online, they don't know what they want to do. Many people go online without knowing what they want to do. So first, I think you have to be sure of what you want to do before you get online. The social media is a platform that has many people, opportunities are there. So if you don't know what you're looking for, when you get in there, you're going to be distracted. So there's that part of you that you need to be more knowledgeable about. Number two is the fact that it's a market already. You have people already. So it's not for you to now niche focus on what you want to sell. So I'm a singer. It means that I'm going to be going online to look for people who are willing to buy my own products. So how do you niche market? How do you utilize search engine optimization for your interest, for you to be able to be known, seen, liked, and then people can patronize you? Number three is for you to now think about your brand visibility. You know, you must have gone to an online store before, and you just do what we call impulse buying based on what you see, and then by the time they bring the product to you, you're wondering, this is what I paid for. So how do you package yourself? How do you put yourself out there? And then you can get that brand visibility that will allow people to come to your shop, come to your platform, and do business with you. Number four would be about the storytelling, right? So how do you use content as a tool to market what you have? So you may not even go directly to market, but how do you use storytelling? People are having problems. How do you use storytelling to like describe something that will interest someone, and you end up doing what we call call to sales? That means you just call to action. You're telling a story, by the end of the day, you are indirectly linking that to your platform or a platform where you have stuff. Now, the last I'll give is the fact that people must have the right mindset of collaboration and not competing. I think you can see different people on this platform. Just imagine us doing a lot of collaboration, which is the main currency for you to earn more. So I see many people get online, you're competing as against you collaborating. For instance, I've written over 30 books, and I have my books on Amazon. So without Amazon, I will not be able to earn. I have content, I have many platforms that I'm sharing my content. Without that, I won't be able to have many people patronize me. Now, you have InZen articles, for instance, #1 article directory in the world. I'm an extract writer there. If not for that platform, I won't be able to have many people see my works out there. So what that means is, instead of you creating your own platform, why can't you think about collaborating with an existing platform to scale what you're doing and to create more impact in the community out there?
I love that. So collaboration over competition, I think that's definitely the way to go. So Jeremiah, I'd love to come to you next. You're the founder and chief executive officer of Geroids NG, which is a cryptocurrency company, which is also now diving into real estate, correct? Crypto kind of took the world by storm. I think a lot of us struggled to understand what it was. And I think when we tried to catch up, we were a little bit too, it was a little too late for some of us because the prices had kind of exploded by then. But I think crypto also brought about a conversation around trust, right? You hear of so many crypto companies that are here today, gone tomorrow. There's so many examples, in the US and other countries. I'm not saying that that's your case, of course, but I think it's a reality that we're all kind of grappling with. So we're talking about how to adapt to technology. So from your perspective, obviously being the founder of Geroids, how do you ensure that people trust what you're doing online, right? Like, how do we know that in 10 years' time, some of these instruments that people are using to make money online, like crypto and investing through apps, will be a reliable investment in 10 years? So how do you build trust through a digital platform with your customers? Sorry, I know that's a very long question, but bear with me.
Okay, yes. So there's a lot of worries about the cryptocurrency industry. And first, what I would like to say is there is not going to be a stop. Cryptocurrency is the future. And talking about technology and...
so let me stop you right there. When you say cryptocurrency is the future, what does that mean?
Yeah. So when I talk about cryptocurrency is the future and talking about technology today, when you talk about cryptocurrency, you talk about the blockchain technology. And trust me, currently, even the banks, the traditional banks, which we tech startups today are going to overthrow, especially in the cryptocurrency world, are looking at ways they can implement this blockchain infrastructure in their systems. Trust me, all the top banks are already looking at it because the blockchain algorithm or architecture gives more security, gives more transparency to all of these transactions. So trust me, it makes end-to-end probably sending funds seamless. I was at a panelist session some time ago where some of the top guys that created the bank infrastructures today were saying if somebody is sending money from a country down to Nigeria, I think through one channel, it takes about a week for it to drop. But when you're sending crypto, it just takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes is even long. 2 seconds, you have gotten it, no matter where the currency is coming from. So it makes cross-border payment very fast, and that is what tech is about. So no to traditional banking system, and yes to crypto.
All right, that's quite a statement. Thank you I love your confidence, Jeremiah. Thank you. And I'll definitely check out your app and see what it's all about. So I'm coming to you, Ola Subomi. Thank you for being with us online. I know it can be lonely when you're the only online participant. Could we please bring her Zoom onto the screen so that we can interact with her? Yeah, so happy to have you here. Obviously, New Classes is a technology company that's focused on equipping HMOs and care providers. I was really amazed to see the acceleration of tech health companies, especially during the pandemic and right before it. So how do you think that technology is going to change the tech sector? What could we expect in the next 5 to 10 years from the tech health space?
Okay, thank you very much for having me, and hello to every other person in the panelists and the members of the audience. So, as we know, technology is affecting, or should I say, impacting every aspect of our lives, and our health is a major part of our lives, is a major part of our lifestyle. So, like you've asked, how is technology going to impact? So prior to COVID, actually, there was telemedicine, but it did not get as popular because people could not understand the reason why you need telemedicine when you can actually walk to the doctor's place, go to your healthcare center and have yourself checked. But since COVID, everyone's, with the restriction and all, everyone saw the importance. And now we've seen a rise in the number of patients that prefer to use telemedicine as against the traditional way of delivering health care, especially when they are not feeling really terrible. It's just something, some kind of preventive measure, or for example, you're feeling a little sick, but it's not as bad. So telemedicine helped in that way. So for things that would, trends that I think would affect healthcare generally in the next 5 to 10 years, number one is AI. We've seen AI being used in different forms, from from diagnostics to consultation and even to care. I know that I read somewhere recently that there's a particular AI that is able to detect cancer cells even faster than detect cancer cells, I mean, even before before they develop enough for a traditional doctor to be able to see or even diagnose them. That's that on technology with AI. Then one other thing I know that would happen is that there will be more use of electronic medical records, which a lot of hospitals are using through us right now. We have over 2,000 healthcare providers, hospitals, pharmacies, dentists, and all of that. And from that, we'll be able to use a lot of data analytics. With that, healthcare providers will be able to do predictions and know the type of diseases and healthcare issues that are quite prevalent around them, and they'll know how to get the type of the specialties of doctors they need to bring in and all of that. So those are like the major trends I know that will be impacting healthcare through technology.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So we have a panel, so we're not going to be able to do much more today, but I'd love to see if there are any questions before I do my last round of comments for the panelists. Any questions? No? All right. So if we could just take 15 seconds each to describe what we believe. I mean, you've done that already, so you're good. But please take 15 seconds to describe what you think your industry will look like in 10 years with the advent of technology. So just take 15, did I say 15 minutes? I meant 15 seconds to describe what you think your industry will look like in the next 10 years. And then we'll end it there. Thank you.
Okay, I'll say in terms of AI, so I think one of the earlier panels, someone was speaking about copywriting. So at the office at the moment, like I see some of our copywriters using ChatGPT. Then I also see some people say that, why are you using ChatGPT? So it shows that you're lazy and stuff like that. But I think as the future is, as time goes on, people are just. When I started off with digital about maybe 11 years ago, it used to take time to convince people to even do digital in the first place. You beg all the banks to spend money on Facebook, but now like everybody's talking about digital. So I think it's the same that's going to happen in the marketing space as well. So I saw a quote by the owner of the president of Cisco that in the next 10 years, 40% of businesses will not exist anymore, of current businesses. So digital shouldn't be an option, it's a must. You need to strive. In my head, like what he was talking about, collaboration. So I always say that you don't need to compete. You need to, collaboration is important. And technology helps you do that. The same, talking about people learning and all those kind of things. The same technology we have on our phones today was I think 50 KB or MB was what was used to take men to the moon. So we have more technology than was used to take, everybody now has more technology on their phone than people used to take, the Americans used to go to the moon. So it means that we have no excuse. So going forward in the future, technology is going to advance whether you like it or not. So it's either you adopt or you're going to be left behind. So I think I'll just end it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremiah. 20 seconds, just tell me what you think the cryptocurrency ecosystem will look like in 10 to 15 years.
Okay, in terms of technology, when looking at real-time data analysis, technology would really help my industry. And this analytics, so to say, would really help us in terms of PR, knowing areas to market, because we have tools, like as some of the speakers mentioned, like Google tools. You have Firebase, whereby you can track those who look at probably your website. You can target second-time visitors. You could target people that have already heard about your business. Then little about AI in terms of chat support. We now have AI integrated kind of chat support, whereby the manpower needed is reduced. You just have to integrate AI in the chat support you use on your platform. And when people ask questions, they get responses, and that really helps them. Also, Gerard, we also have a crypto product solution that for the corporate organizations that help them receive payments in crypto. So it's as little as just signing up on our platform. You get both stand and your wallet address, your personalized wallet for your business. So you don't really need to know much about crypto to accept payments in crypto. You just need to check our rates, give your customers that wallet address anywhere in the world. When they send you these assets, it's converted directly to Naira. So this helps in cross-border payments across the world. And that's what we are looking at, and that's the future.
Thank you. Dr. Sampson.
Okay, so we're building Knowledge Digest Africa, which we have tagged Africa One-Stop Digital Knowledge Bank. So to us, the tech platform will be a one-stop digital knowledge bank where you have access to a lot of collaboration, marketplace, mentorship, and all of that. And if anyone is looking for anything, you don't need to even seek for a physical mentor. You're going to have the mentors online. You're going to have access to information at more local content that people can have access to. See, I see many people read books outside the country and you want to apply to Nigeria. There's a lot of difficulties happening in the country. So we want to learn from people like Biggie First and Dio and all of the people on the panel, where you share your story, and with your story, I know what to do next because you have given me like the solution. So we're thinking about building a platform that will be one-stop digital knowledge bank known as Knowledge Digest Africa. Thank you.
In 10 years, I mean, I'm going to try and answer the question. In 10 years, my fear is that it will look the same. And unfortunately, technology or no technology, as long as there's people involved in the process, for my industry specifically, I can't speak for anyone else, we run the risk of not adapting as well.
Are you talking about the writing? Which industry are you talking
so
about?
this is media, film,
media, okay.
yes, film, television, entertainment.
Okay.
We run the risk of not adapting as well as we could,
Okay.
because it's not as straightforward, because most efficient ways prove to eventually take people's jobs.
Right.
And so there's a bit of a struggle in that sense. But what I'm sort of philosophizing in a way and hoping for is a place where there's a bit of balance. Because for me, technology means more structure. And more structure means more opportunities, equal opportunities, more people being educated. I mean, I'm the CEO of Jumpstart, and we're in the conception stage of an educational application where people who have business ideas, we help them streamline their business ideas, and then just provide the network to help them execute from whatever stage. And essentially what that will do is it will give us a database. So we're talking MSME specifically. It will give us a database of people who are not necessarily plugged in and help us connect them with people who can help plug them in. And keep them plugged in. And so, I mean, we're looking at it from a sustainability perspective. I don't think 10 years is enough to achieve those sorts of things that I'm hoping for, but I know that we're gonna get there eventually. That's my hope. I know that technology is moving whether we like it or not, like everyone on here has said. So inevitably so, we'll have to adapt. I'm not sure it will happen in 10 years, but it will happen, I hope.
No, it's not a one size fits all for sure. But thank you.
So in the next 10, 15 years, I work in the knowledge industry, and I think that the knowledge industry has been one of the biggest beneficiaries of technology. There was a time when knowledge research meant going into a library with stockpiles of dusty books and all of that, and newspapers. I mean, even I, did that at Ibadan, but now is about, so after then, it then became going online, looking for previous publications, extracting and all of that. And then now it has moved to just typing in what you want and a draft comes. So I don't think that has a risk to my industry. I think that what it does is that it places skills a notch higher. So now your base is what technology gives you. So ChatGPT, for example, gives you a draft. I then expect that you would be very creative and very thorough and rigorous in adapting what has been given to you into value for your clients on the one end. So that is for the skills and those who work in my industry. Now, for the companies themselves, I think that technology is making it easier to go to market. Consulting is one of the areas that is most difficult to scale because it's tied to individuals, because it's a professional service. But now things are changing. You now have consulting as a service. My company especially, we now have, you could go on our website and click on a bucket of services and you can pay. And we still try as much as possible to customize it to you. We now have marketplaces where you can go in and request for the service of professional service providers. Unlike those days when you literally have to be knocking doors, door to door. So I think that in the next 10 to 15 years, there will be a lot more improvement in how we service our clients, how our people do our work, and how we relate with the market entirely. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I would say that we're moving, and it's typically what we can see ourselves. 10 years ago, I remember what existed. I had startups that failed. I know I invested in something about 10 years ago that failed very straight up because the penetration, adoption, and all of that for property advertising online was not at this level. But today, literally, I want to purchase something. I go to GG, all those places. I check. I can see, takes a bit of data of what is the range of cost of property around this location, and I'm able to go on with that process. 10 years ago, that data was not available. Now, if you try 10 years away from now, you try to look at what it looks like 10 years from now, it takes beyond critical thinking. You can only all make assumptions because 5 years ago, ChatGPT does not exist anywhere. Nobody knew what that was. They told you it was going to happen. It was something long time. So we can only make a bit of suggestion, thoughts, and make some sort of creative stuff. But at the place of personal development and continuous growth, an ability to adapt and adopt, it's very, very crucial. Saving online, all of those things will still be there. The way it will be done then, it may be tokenized, it may be some other ways. But the testing and keep growing, and that's just my two comments.
Thank you very much.
I have. Okay, in the next 10 years, there's this saying, innovate or die. So we ourselves, we are paying close attention to consumer behavior, such as intent, strategy, and innovation. Because if you don't understand the searcher's intent, you can't be able to build strategy for your business. And that is our focus for now.
Thank you. And last but not least.
Okay. I work in finance. I think that um, the total addressable market in the next 10 years will be very, very big. I think every single bank is realizing that they need to start to think digital first. So I think we'll have more digital-led type banking within the next 10 years. We're solving for um, individuals and businesses who want to manage their finances, and that market is growing. I think we're just scratching the surface now because our industry is barely 10 years old. People are starting to see the need, to use fintech apps, to do some of the things that they do. We carried out a survey recently, and we released a savings report, and there were a lot of insights from there. There's people that rely on these things today. You cannot do without it. The people that are growing up today are not used to going to bank branches to do anything. Someone who is 17 years old today will be 27 in 10 years, and they're not used to going to the bank for anything. They want to do everything on their phone. So as a business in my industry, what you need to continue to do now is continue to build trust and just have staying power, because the market is just literally starting, to be very honest, and there's a whole lot more that can be achieved over the years.
Thank you very much. That's all we have time for. Let's put our hands together for our panelists. I think we can do better than that, guys. Thank you. Let's take a picture, and then that will be all. Again, my name is Lele Balde. It's been a pleasure moderating this.
Thank you so much. Please step forward for photos.
First kiss, it's getting better, baby. No one compares this. Still holding on, you're still the one. First time our eyes met.
So while they're taking the photos, I just wanted to let you know that the organizers of the Business Day Top 100 Fastest Growing SMEs in Nigeria have something huge for you, and we have the final panel coming up. Well, after the final panel, we have a big giveaway for attendees. So please stick around. This is the final panel, and we'll soon proceed. Thank you so much for your time. We don't want to waste a lot of time, and we'll just move on to the next one. All right, to introduce the final panel of the day, I'd like to call on the moderator of the panel, Flora Mbelodu. Please welcome her. Please, a round of applause as they come on stage. She will be moderating the final panel, and the topic would be tax compliance and legal requirements for SMEs. Please, another round of applause for Flora Mbediogu. Joining her on stage is Abeyi Esiri, partner and private wealth leader from PwC. Ibuku B. Croft, partner at Deloitte. Please, a round of applause as I call the names. Ibuku B. Croft, from partner at Deloitte. Peter Wafo, partner tax and regulatory service at Mazars. Okay, so representing Abeyi Esiri from PwC, we have Ademola Idowu, Associate Director, PwC. Representing Peter Wafo is Ajibola Shoguru. And finally, I would like to welcome Omoruyi Uyilo. Yes, please, I'm really sorry. Please, but I want you to pronounce it yourself. Right. So I would like to welcome Omoruyi Edowari. Edogari.
Hi.
So I would like to also welcome Uzochukwu Obiene, partner KPMG. Uzochukwu Obiene, partner
A round of
KPMG.
applause as he comes on stage. No, this sitting position, it can only work. It cannot work. At least let's break this the jinx of the men sitting together. Let's start with that.
Right, so we have Akinwale Alawo from KPMG.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ada. A round of applause again to all the panelists that just joined us. Please, to all those that are outside, can we come in? This is the last panel session, and then we can enjoy ourselves at the exhibition stand, the raffle draw, and all the freebies and all the beautiful things that Business Day has lined up for us. Please, those behind, can you join us, please? The event is not over. The conference is also an integral part of the event, please. Thank you very much. Okay, so my name is Floran Belediogo, the founder and CEO of MABA, Made in Africa Brands Ambassador. So we're here at the Business Day Top 100 Fastest Growing SMEs in Nigeria event today. So the panel session, panel 4, is on tax compliance and legal requirements for SMEs. Tax. This tax topic is a very delicate one, because a lot of us do not, a lot of brands and even personal individuals don't like to pay tax, and those that pay tax will keep asking, what does the government do with this tax? Tax days, VAT, this one, that one, so many tax. So what do they do with this tax that they keep telling us to pay, the personal income tax, the corporate tax, and all that? So today we have tax experts that are going to be educating us, enlightening us, and also letting us know a lot of what we do not know. So we have to learn today, unlearn and relearn. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for these amazing panelists. So in no particular, thank you, in no particular order, we would like to start with our first, we'd like to start with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. So Ms. Ademola Idowu, can you just introduce yourself quickly? Let's just have an intro.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ademola Idowu. I'm an associate director at PwC, and I basically specialize in advising companies on tax matters. I've done a lot of work with companies in the startup phase, SMEs and large corporations, both Nigeria and globally. It's a pleasure being here with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ademola. Okay, so please, let's just have
My name is Ajibola Shogoro. I'm a director at Mazars Nigeria. I specialize in compliance and regulatory services.
Good afternoon. My name is Omori Edogiawere. I'm a lawyer, a startup tech and innovation attorney, and I work with startups and entrepreneurs on building sustainable business. I lead the team at E&C Legal, and the core of what we do is working with growing businesses to help them grow and scale optimally.
Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Akinwale Alao. I'm a partner at KPMG. I've been practicing tax now for over 16 years, and I've had the privilege of advising companies, both indigenous companies and multinational companies, in different phases of their growth. So from startups to big companies, listed companies. So it's a pleasure to be here to discuss this topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start with you, Akinwale of KPMG. So first of all, I would like to know, what are the tax requirements expected from SMEs?
Okay, thank you. So when you look at the tax law provisions in Nigeria, the provisions that would apply to a company in terms of its obligations will depend on a number of factors. And one of the criteria that's usually easy to use in evaluating that is what is called gross turnover. And so if you were to take an SME, if an SME's revenue, annual gross turnover, is about 25 million naira max in a year, or an SME expects to make not more than 25 million naira in a year, then it will fall into a certain bracket where it may not have very significant tax obligations. So for one, it won't have an obligation to register for VAT. It won't have an obligation to charge value-added tax, because normally when companies invoice their customers, they're supposed to include VAT on their invoices. But an SME that does not have gross turnover of more than 25 million naira would not have that obligation to charge VAT on its invoices. As a result of that, it wouldn't have an obligation to file value-added tax returns on a monthly basis. So that's talking about VAT, which is a monthly obligation. Similarly, if you look at companies' income tax, an SME that has gross turnover of not more than 25 million naira will be exempt from companies' income tax. So even though it would have an obligation to file its company's income tax return and to register for company's income tax purposes, it will not actually pay any tax, even if it makes a profit, as long as its gross turnover is not more than 25 million naira. But once the gross turnover exceeds that threshold, it would have value-added tax filing, registration, obligations. It would have company's income tax payment obligations. If the revenue is still less than 100 million, so it's higher than 25 million, but less than 100 million, it will pay company's income tax, but at the rate of 20% of its taxable profit. And then it will have value-added tax filing and registration obligations like I earlier mentioned. If the turnover grows beyond that, so it's now 100 million naira and above, then it will have filing obligations for CIT, that's company's income tax, and CIT payment obligations. The tax rate would increase a little notch to 30% of the taxable profits. And then there are other obligations like maybe tertiary education tax payment. If the SME is a Nigerian company, it will have an obligation to pay tertiary education tax. You know, so there are obligations also around employee-related taxes, things like industrial training fund payment, 1% of payroll, employees compensation fund payment, 1% of payroll. So there are a number of obligations like that. So I'll pause there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Akinwale. So we've heard his submission. According to your annual turnover, you're being taxed according to the threshold of the turnover that your organization makes. So the higher the turnover, the
higher the obligations, kind of,
on the profit tax. Thank you very much for that. Now we'll move over to Omorui Uyilo. That's her name. Edo Gaweri. Did I get it?
Almost.
Almost. Okay, so would like to know how does taxation affect SMEs? Does it affect SMEs negatively? If yes, does it affect them negatively or positively?
Right.
Thank you.
So tax is a legal obligation that everyone, corporate or even individual, have and owe to the state. And the Bible says, give unto Caesar that which is Caesar, and unto God that which is God's. One of the explanation around that analogy is that as citizens, you have a tax obligation that you owe to the state, both as a private individual and as a corporate entity. But I'd rather approach this question from the perspective of tax evasion and tax avoidance, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so the mindset oftentimes of businesses, especially small and growing businesses, is that we don't want to pay tax, right? And so we try to find avenues to circumvent the wheel, right? But what many don't realize is that there are legal avenues for you to avoid, or for want of better language, mitigate your tax obligation, right? So when you hear tax evasion, that's illegal, that's wrong. What that means is that you are evading your legal obligation. And like I said at the onset, it's an obligation that you owe to the state, right? And the essence of your tax is for public amenities, for government to be able to provide you the dividends of governance. And so it's an obligation that you owe once you get some form of income. And to correct a misconception too, your tax, your company income tax, for instance, is not based on your turnover. The eggheads in the accounting system can bear me witness, and if I'm telling you any bullocks, they will throw me off the chair, right? But it's based on the profits that you make. So if you do proper bookkeeping and keep your records right, you're good to go, because when you don't make profit, you don't pay tax, right? If you make profit, you pay income tax. Now, there are a couple of, like the education tax, and some that are obligatory by virtue of the kind of structure that you have created, right? So this is where tax avoidance comes in, to say, how do I skew my startup, or how do I skew my entity in a way that will mitigate my tax obligation? And that will now be based on the kind of structure that you create at the onset. So for instance, I say to startups, the most important thing you do at the onset is that you start lean. What that means is that even the legal structure you take on is one that is lean and factors in the fact that you're growing. And the sort of your growth projection is such that does not set you up or does not put you in a position where you, from the head-go, are compelled to have those heavy fines. That doesn't mean that companies don't start big, but for small entities like MSMEs, the law has, like he said, the law has already made it quite simple by giving a leeway. And it is even deemed that in the first few years, or at least in the first year, your business is crawling and it's growing, and you're not expected to make so much money, right? Your turnover, and that's why I say if your turnover is less than 25 million, you don't have any tax obligation that you owe, right? So tax is important, right? It's now important for businesses and business owners, small business owners, to realize that what you should do at the onset is to understand, based on the structure I have, what would be my tax obligations, right? And not to approach it from the perspective that I should not pay tax. After all, the road is bad. After all, there's no light. I'm having to fuel my generator. I'm having to provide the services that government ideally should provide for me, right? But if you approach it from the perspective that I have an obligation to pay, right? And then how do I now mitigate this obligation to the barest minimum? So let me just give you a small analogy. If you have a party and a caterer gives you a budget of 1 million for a party of 20 people or 50 people, and gives you a 1 million naira budget, and you say to yourself, okay, so I don't have 1 million. So can we look at the menu? And you see that in the menu there's chicken, there's rice, there's chicken, there's fish, there's snail, there's maybe shrimp, right? And then you say, okay, so how do we reduce it to maybe just one piece of meat and one chicken, right? And by the time they rework the maths, the budget maybe comes down to 300K or 400K. So what have you done? You have avoided unnecessary expense, because based on your current realities, you have mitigated your expenses. Now, that's different from taking on the bill and telling the caterer, go ahead, and then the caterer supplies that rich meal, and then and after people have eaten and gone, and you have danced and they have sprayed you, you now tell the caterer, I can't afford to pay that bill. And then you start dodging that caterer. So what has happened is that you are evading paying what you are obligated to pay. But if you look at your circumstances and you walk around it, you are able to create a structure that allows you a leeway to mitigate your expenses. For instance, and I think that when the others are speaking, they will probably point to it. If you run your businesses properly and you file your VAT returns, even if you're not doing anything, like 0 returns, at the end of the year, you get a clean sheet, a clean bill of health. So what happens oftentimes is small businesses don't file their 0 returns, or you don't file your VAT returns, and then you now bid for a job, and then they ask you for tax clearance. You run into the tax office, and they slam you with a heavy bill that is predominantly not based on taxing your income, but based on your failure to follow regulatory guidelines. So you must pay tax. Tax is important, right? And having a tax clearance certificate is a bill of integrity that this business honors its obligation to the state, right? And that you play by the books. So it's a bragging right that as a business you have a tax clearance. Now, for small businesses that do not have tax liability, the founders have an obligation to pay personal income tax, right? Because that's your tax clearance as a founder of a small enterprise oftentimes suffices as the company's tax clearance where such is asked for. So it's not okay to say, oh, I run a small business, we don't have any tax obligation, we're not making up to 25 million, and then you don't pay your own personal income tax. Because all you need to do is walk into a tax office and have them give you, I think that what is called, it's called an estimated self-estimation or some self-assessment. And then you're assessed, and based on what your income is, you have a tax assessment and you make that payment. That certificate, as a founder, you can tie it to your enterprise or your entity, showing that you who owns the business are fulfilling your tax obligation.
Thank you very much, Uyi. Thank you for that. A round of applause. Thank you. So now we understand, when you started, when I asked that question, when you were starting, you had to bring religion into it. I mean, give to Caesar what is Caesar and give to. So if we really want to go by that religious word, you know, we know that sometimes a lot of SMEs or a lot of individuals do not just wish to evade task. But when you find out that, you know, the taxes that you've been paying over the years have not actually been utilized for a lot of infrastructural development, it's actually demotivating, to be honest, to be very honest. We are all human beings, and we are speaking reality right now, right? Yeah. So let's just be real. I know it's good to obey the commandments of God or the Bible. It's good to give to Caesar what is to Caesar and to Mammon or God or whatever, whatever, you know. But then again, now it will lead me to my third. It's supposed to be my last question, but I'm going to bring it forward because of this give to Caesar that he mentioned that has, you know, spiked up the thing inside of me. I mean, we have always paid tax. A lot of us here pay tax, as in we are attached to organizations whereby they deduct tax at source, even before paying salaries. So by default, you're tax compliant, you pay your tax and all that. But then over the years, even the little basic things that are supposed to be utilized with this tax that you've been paying by the government is not done. So you see that it demoralizes the individuals who are paying this tax all the time. So in as much as we want to actually be tax compliant, it is also important for for big organizations like PwC, KPMG, and UE Law and the rest of them to actually speak to the government, be close to the government, and tell the government this and this and these are things that are actually need to be done. If you want to enforce tax on people, if you want people to comply with tax, it is also important to utilize this tax with the basic amenities and infrastructural development that even things as little as things we see around us in our community should be utilized with this tax. So that in doing that, you see that other countries, other developed countries, the individuals, the citizens are tax compliant because they see the value of the tax they are paying in the developmental structures that are in those countries. So it is important for us also infuse this in conversations because I know that most of these global brands are close to the government in every country they come to. Yeah, I mean, yeah, KPMG is looking at me. He knows what I'm talking about. And PwC. So we need to start speaking about this realistic. We need to start having these real conversations. We need to be having these realistic conversations every now and then. So it will bring me to this, to the last question I'm supposed to ask, but I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask PwC, yeah. So I wanted to ask you, but no. KPMG, you're nodding. I will come back and ask you as well. Because the KPMG and PwC seems to be the two global accounting firm and auditing firm tax company in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well,
I'm correct, right?
Two of the big four, yeah.
Yeah, big four, okay. So most SMEs have complained that there is no enabling environment, you know, despite paying all the necessary taxes for growth and development of the economy. How can firms like PwC, UE Law, KPMG, Mazars, work with the government to ensure this happens? PwC. In fact, four of you should answer this question. I want to hear what you have to say. And thank God it's being televised.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. You know, the interesting thing about tax is that, I was just saying that the interesting thing about tax is that, yeah, it's true that most businesses don't want to pay their tax because you begin to think about what you're getting in return. But again, we say that taxes are unrequited.
Well, sorry to correct you, not what the business is getting in return. The basic infrastructures that actually, ideally, they are supposed to be there. So it's not like we're paying the tax to get something in return. No, these are basic things that ought to be there as citizens of a nation. Basic things we are supposed to enjoy. Right or wrong, audience? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so people, whether businesses or individuals, right, you pay taxes and, I mean, you have some level of expectations, right, as to what you should get in return. But I'm just trying to say that generally, the principles behind tax would mean that taxes are unrequited. So it's a function of the law. You do not pay taxes simply because you believe that you should get something back. At least do your part. Now, it is true again that we need to hold our government accountable, because as individuals, as businesses, we want to see what the government is using our taxes to do. And if we look at what has been happening in Nigeria in recent times, right, we've been seeing a level of shift, in the way things are done. For instance, a couple of years back, the government introduced a scheme called Road Infrastructure Tax Relief Scheme, where instead of companies having to pay taxes in cash, you can rather pay that tax in form of government projects, get approval to construct government roads, and then you get some level of tax incentive back. So, I mean, that's a form of tangible reward that we can see from what our tax is, from what our tax is doing, right? Now,
you always give me points to come back to you immediately so that I don't forget. Yeah, but I mean, that's a brilliant innovation from the government in terms of, companies who pay tax, especially large corporations, but these are for large corporates. I mean, we are talking about SME here. We are in this event for SMEs, as in the benefits to SMEs. So this is the conversation, like right now, after this event, we need to take this home. We need to take this back. Like, this has been deployed for large corporations. I know Dangote is doing something like that, and a couple of big organizations. How can this also be tilted towards the SMEs who are also involved in this? Because every time when we do research, you keep hearing 46% of the economic, SMEs contribute 46% of the nation's economy. But then again, how do these SMEs benefit from tax holidays and things like this? Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I will just speak on some of the tax reforms that we've had in Nigeria, that SMEs can basically plug into, right? And we've had a number of them, to be honest, and even though some of them are still in the pipeline. So in terms of some of them that we've had implemented already, I know last year, right, the government introduced the Business Facilitation Act, right? So if you look into that act, for instance, some of the amendments that were brought to life, maybe let's talk about amendments regarding the operations of the NSITF levy in Nigeria. Now, before that amendment was done, companies that have at least 5 employees or companies that make up to 50 million turnover are expected to make contribution of, I think it's 1% of their payroll cost, to the government. But what we've seen with that is that most SMEs will typically fall within that category because you have maybe about 5 employees or you're doing about 50 million. But again, that burden is also on the SMEs, right? But what we've then seen with the amendments is that threshold of 50 million was taken off, and then the number of employee threshold was also increased to 25. So as an SME, if you don't have up to 25 employees, you are not really expected to comply with that. Now, I know Akinwale earlier spoke about the points on threshold for taxing companies, when we talk about small companies in Nigeria, in which case, if you do not make more than 25 million naira revenue threshold, you won't be required to pay companies income tax in Nigeria. And maybe in addition to that, you're also not expected to charge VAT on your services. So you not charging VAT on your service would make your product and your pricing more competitive, right? Now, if we also think about some of the things that are being done, I mean, the main question you asked earlier on was what firms like PwC is doing, to kind of channel the cost for tax relief or tax reforms for SMEs. Now, over the years, PwC as a firm has been at the forefront of advocating for not taxing ourselves into prosperity, because you can't sit in a bucket and leave the bucket at the same time. So if you have a company, a country that is predominantly poor, you can't continue to introduce different types of taxes to tax our people, So then part of what we've done in the past is in terms of advocating for how Nigeria can reform its taxes, and maybe that's probably what's led to the government, to even set up the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, headed by former PwC partner Taiwo Edele. Now, from what the chairman of that committee has said over time, part of the insights we can see from what the committee is also trying to do is to look at how we can harmonize the number of taxes that we have in Nigeria. So as an SME, for instance, you imagine yourself paying up to about 10, 20 types of taxes, call it VAT, personal income, all sorts of taxes. But when the committee finishes its work, based on what, is publicly available, we're probably expecting that we have just a few number of taxes. So imagine as a business just having to pay just about 7 types of taxes in Nigeria based on the nature of operations that you have. I think that's going to be a major win. Now, also talking about SMEs, a lot of us are into tech startups. A lot of us use technology to power our businesses. Now, last year, again, the government introduced the Nigeria Startup Act, which became effective in October last year. Now, if you look at the details of that act, right, there are certain provisions that we have there that give a lot of incentives to SMEs. And to further bring, that act to life, the Minister for Digital Economy recently announced the launch of the Startup Engagement Portal. What that means is that there is now a portal where, as a startup company or as an SME, you can readily register. So far, you meet all the criteria that are listed in the act, to be able to benefit from those incentives. And some of those criteria include that you must be a Nigerian company that must not have been in existence for more than 10 years. Let's say about 1/3 of your shareholdings must be Nigerian-based, right? And you must also be a company that is whose principal activity has to do with technology or being a repository of technology or technology software or products. So now, what are the incentives available in that act? Yeah, so there are incentives there for both the business and the business owners in that tax. So maybe for the business, for instance, there's opportunity for you to be exempted from income tax for your first 5 years under the pioneer rules, and you can also benefit by being in the technology development zone when set up, which is going to give you tax holiday for the period in which you remain in the zone. Now, for owners of the business, again, the Act provides that you can benefit up to 30%, of your investment that you make in that business. And again, there are also provision for easy access to capital and repatriation of funds. So I think these are some of the things that we've seen. And even though we want more, I know the government is obviously doing some things, but again, as SMEs, we can always use tax, to think of how we do our business. And let's not always just see tax as one thing that we don't want to talk about. And maybe just before I drop the mic, one last point which I always like to make when I speak to SMEs is that if you do not organize your business very well, tax-wise, it can come back to haunt you. So as you focus on generating revenue, think about it that for every 1 naira that you make in profit, you pay about 30 kobo to the government in corporate tax. And if you then do not organize your tax affairs very well, that 1 kobo can rise as much as 70 kobo, in penalties and other taxes that you should have collected, but which you failed to do. So I think what I want to leave you with right now is that tax compliance should be something that you should hold very important. So you should also use tax to imagine your business, seek advice whenever you need support. And at PwC, for instance, we have dedicated desks. We don't just focus on the large companies, we have specific focus on small and medium-sized enterprises as well. Yeah. So, I mean, so I've heard this as well at the last session that I attended, where participants felt that, it's just a big firm, but we actually have dedicated desks, and I actually lead one of those desks at PwC. So, yeah, it would be very interesting to have further conversations with you on how we can help you use tax to reimagine your business.
Thank you very much. A round of applause. I'm actually, the last statement is even the one that interested me the most. Like, okay, we all know PwC, the global auditing and accounting firm, is always the the top. I mean, someone is starting up a business, you're still trying to test the waters and all that, and then you're already paying. You start to pay tax from just testing the business to see, calling it a startup. So my question now is, do you think it's necessary to offer tax exemptions to startups who are just starting? And if you think it is ideal, how long do you think the government should give exemption to those startup SMEs before they begin to pay tax? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I strongly believe that exemptions should be granted to SMEs. Though at the moment we have quite a lot of exemptions for SMEs, like Adil Akinwale has said, and my other colleague from PwC. when you are starting as a small business, it's important to know that, of course, tax is key. One of the things that is constant in life is tax. Fine, you might not start paying tax at the introductory stage, introductory stage, but later on, when you must have grown in terms of size, in terms of revenue, you start paying relevant taxes. But at the moment, there are quite a lot of exemptions around companies' income tax, value-added tax, and several other ones. Another thing to note is this. Of course, in terms of how long, I believe that, of course, if exemption is to be granted to SMEs, it could be from areas of 5 years, because that is basically what we have. Looking at it from the perspective of pioneer, of course, companies operating in a particular industry or maybe venturing in a particular product, they tend to get pioneer for the first 3 years, and upon satisfactory performance, they get an extension for 2 years. So something like that could also be introduced for SMEs. Of course, it won't come in form of pioneer. It will definitely be an exemption. But what we have at the moment could actually expand beyond 5 years. If you are a SME and you've been operating, and in the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, your turnover seems not to grow up to 25 million, you are obviously exempted from taxes. So the idea of 5 years, of course, you see that it might not really work, it might not really make sense, because the exemption is based on your revenue. Now, another thing is, of course, the exemptions are there, and it's important that we also take cognizance of those exemptions. Now, having said that, it's also important that we put our records in place, like my other colleague said, in terms of what you would have paid in terms of maybe 20% or 30%, you can end up paying 70% because your records are not properly kept. So it's important, as you are doing the business, you also need to keep proper records so that at least you can take advantage of the relevant exemptions that are available, because you can think that you are already taking the exemptions because you are not paying taxes at this time, but if a review, examination, or audit is conducted, because the relevant records are not properly kept, you discover that you are paying, you may have to pay heavily at the end of the day. Of course, experience has shown that SMEs, they are mostly concerned about the business. They are concerned about how the business will grow. They are concerned about how to win bids. They are concerned about how to make profit, how to generate revenue. The last thing that comes to their mind is tax. Am I correct? That is the last thing that comes to our mind as SME, as participant within the SME cycle. But it's important to know that tax, of course, will definitely come one day. Even if you are joining exemption now, you will know that whether you like it or not, when your revenue has crossed the band of 25 million, you definitely have taxes to pay. While you are even enjoying the exemptions, you have obligations. The most important obligation is, 1, to register, 2, is also to file. So where you have exemptions for VAT in terms of registration, you don't have exemption for companies' income tax to register and to file. So it's important to know that you have obligation to register. You also have obligation to file. Filing new returns pending when you are still reporting turnover below 25 million. Of course, what is obtainable in practice is even when you now default in filing the returns as are when due, what the revenue authority, what they do is that they just slam you with tax. Yes, of course, that is not the provisions of the law, but they just try to take advantage of a condition in the law that says even while those exemptions are there, you are expected to file as are when due. So they have interpreted that exemption to now be a forfeiture of the exemptions that you have. So it's good we're having this discussion for you to at least to keep abreast of the relevant exemptions around the tax law. Well, in terms of, so coming back to the question of the moderator, how many years? Like I said, 5 years, but we also need to look at that discussion from your revenue. So if your revenue remains below 25 million for 10 years, and we are discussing around government introducing an exemption for 5 years, it might actually come back to at least to shoot you. So I think the exemption we have at the moment is still fine, though in Nigeria generally we are not happy to pay tax. I think in Sweden people are ready to pay tax. Why? Because there are justifications for what they are paying. Of course, I think it might be my own perspective, there's a breach of the existing social contract. Of course, it might not be documented, but the social contract requires that is that contract between the government and the masses, or the taxpayer in this case. When you pay your taxes, is expected that you have access to quality infrastructures to enable your businesses to grow. But of course, this might not be the discussion, but it's important to know that government is doing its best, but the best might not be enough in terms of what we are seeing at the end of the day. But never mind, even while we are not seeing the result that is expected, because the laws are there and they are clear, and it's expected that as I went due, maybe when we must have crossed the relevant threshold, we are expected to do what? To pay tax. So I'll come back to Omoroye's comment that give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So why those expectations are not being met, it's important that we play our role. And the best way you could play your role is by ensuring that you have your records in place. If you have your records in place, of course, even when your turnover is below 25 million, you don't have anything to pay, but because your records are properly kept, we can see that it's below 25 million, you obviously have nothing to pay. But if you don't keep the proper records, your 25 million, of course, it could actually be showing that you've earned more than 25 million. You might be forced to pay tax.
I think that.
Thank you very much, Ajibola, for that. Okay, you want to add something?
Yes, it's important to chip in this. And so you must also, one of the things that we do working with startups is balancing the need to meet the threshold for government incentives and growing and making the right revenue, you know, in our phrase, blowing, right? So no one prays to run a business and in 5 years your threshold is still below the 25 million naira mark. So you must also know that as you grow and as your revenue grows, your tax obligation begins to gain weight, right? And you may now leave that freebie threshold. But the key thing that I want you to keep at the back of your mind is oftentimes one of the biggest challenges that startups have had have been the inflow into their corporate accounts, right? So you have an enterprise, or what we call in legal parlance a business name registration, and that gives you rights of ownership. And then you set up a bank account, and then you have a corporate bank account. And now because you have a corporate bank account, you now have people who use your account as a conduit. So someone wants to bid for a job, they run 5 million in. Another person wants to bid, they run 10 million. They run monies that were not clearly part of your own internal turnover. Now, unfortunately, that will be used to judge your turnover. And so if you know that you are engaged in such practice, you have to become a bit more circumspect, because if what your turnover really is 10 million, but what your account has shown is 100 million, they won't listen to the fact that all you have done, your own business turnover is 10 million. They will judge you based on what has come in, that inflow, except you are able to now prove clearly a disconnecting factor, which really is neither here nor there. You know, so you must balance the need to want to grow and blow, and realize that as you are growing and blowing, your tax obligation that were like this will now become like this, and as they grow, can now even become like this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Uri. It's been an interesting conversation on this panel. In a few minutes, we'll be saying bye-bye to this session. So I would like to thank all my panelists, from Ademola Idowu to Ajibola Shogunle to Adekunle and to Omori, and myself, Laura, the moderator. Thank you very much for listening. Dear SMEs, let us begin now from this conversation towards giving to Caesar what is Caesar, according to Omori. At least we take this, we're going to take this. Yes, the Bible said so. You reminded us today, yeah. So we would start to pay and to file our tax annual returns, and so that we'll keep holding the government accountable, right? And then they have also promised that they will speak to the government that we are crying, we are bleeding. Please, this tax that we are paying, we need the government to start utilizing this tax to build infrastructures, for us as citizens to be able to have the enabling environment for these SMEs to actually thrive. It's not so much that we're asking for. Nigerian SMEs, Nigerian entrepreneurs and African SMEs are very hardworking, extremely passionate about the work that they're doing. So the little we're asking is to create the enabling environment for our businesses to thrive. When our businesses thrive, we'll pay the tax proudly and we'll pay it without evading or without forgetting to file. Thank you very much. We call it a day in this session. A round of applause to all my panelists. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, another round of applause for this fantastic panel. So, you know, I mentioned before this panel that the organizers of the Business Day Top 100 Fastest Growing SME have a huge giveaway. So, before you walked into the main hall, I'm sure you saw all the exhibition booths, you saw a lot of things going on. If you have this exhibition slip, right, you can win something very, very big. But there are terms and conditions. And the terms are this. You have 10 minutes to go to all the exhibition booths, get them to sign, where you have their company logos, get them to sign. At least when you have 90% signed, you can come back and you might be the lucky winner of a fantastic gift.
Okay, hello guys, hello everyone. The exhibitors out there are exhibiting made in Africa products and services, and they are very fantastic. Business Day has also created something amazing for you. So it will be nice for you to rush to the exhibition stand, shop as much as you can to qualify for the raffle. Someone is going to win something. In fact, so many people are going to win amazing prizes from Business Day. So please do not slide on this, please. Thank you.
Please make sure you have this. So as you're shopping, make sure you have this slip. So anybody you see wearing the Business Day t-shirt, please ask for this slip. That's the exhibition slip, please. Please, you have 10 minutes before the winner is announced. Thank you.
To pay for bills like internet services or data top-up, log into your VBank app. Tap on Payments, then Pay Bills. Pick the type of bill you'd like to pay, then select your biller. Select the type of products you'd like from your biller. Select the account you want to pay from. Additional information will be required depending on the type of bill you are trying to pay. Confirm your order, insert your VBank app PIN, and you're all done.
Hello, my name is Odumba Taiwo. I was once a hairstylist, but I wasn't having much passion in it because I was forced to do that. And the only person that understand my feeling was my church pastor, who introduced me into this training that's Afro Fidelity and helped me to apply for it. And it was just like a dream come true for me.
My name is Engineer Joy B, popularly known as Lady Benz Auto Mechanic. Nigeria's first female Mercedes-Benz specialist. I met Fidelity a year ago to partner with me, and partnering with Fidelity has been a very huge relief for me. There's a lot of people out there who actually want to acquire these skills, but they don't have the opportunity.
Platforms such as this provide the opportunity to drive the necessary conversations around promoting a world free of gender bias.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
Do you want to shop online, but you're scared of losing your money to scammers? Pepper is here to revolutionize the way you shop online. With Pepper, you could say goodbye to scams and hello to secure payments. We understand the risks buyers face when making purchases on social platforms. So we've created a solution that protects your funds. As a neutral middleman, Pepper holds your payment securely until the seller fulfills their part of the agreement. This means you could shop with confidence, knowing that your money is safe until you receive your product. For sellers, Pepper ensures timely and secure payment, boosting trust and commitment in your business. It's a win-win situation for everyone involved. Visit pepper.io and download the Pepper app. Create a Pepper account today to enable your fund protection on social media.
To pay for bills like internet services or data top-up, log into your VBank app. Tap on Payments, then Pay Bills. Pick the type of bill you'd like to pay, then select your biller. Select the type of products you'd like from your biller. Select the account you want to pay from. Additional information will be required depending on the type of bill you are trying to pay. Confirm your order, insert your VBank app PIN, and you're all done. Way to buy.
Hello, my name is Odumba Taiwo. I was once a hairstylist, but I wasn't having much passion in it because I was forced to do that. And the only person that understand my feeling was my church pastor, who introduced me into this training that's Afro Fidelity and helped me to apply for it. And it was just like a dream come true for me.
My name is Engineer Joy Obi, popularly known as Lady Benz Auto Mechanic, Nigeria's first female Mercedes-Benz specialist. I met Fidelity a year ago to partner with me, and partnering with Fidelity has been a very huge relief for me. There's a lot of people out there who actually want to acquire these skills, but they don't have the opportunity.
Platforms such as this provide the opportunity to drive the necessary conversations around promoting a world free of gender bias.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December. Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Theme: Accelerating Growth for SMEs in an Era of Uncertainty. For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, contact Esther on 0802 235 8807 or Dozier on 0814 481 2193. Registered to attend? Visit businessday.ng. Business Day, news you can trust. Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Theme: Accelerating Growth for SMEs in an Era of Uncertainty. For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, contact Esther on 0802 235 8807 or Dozier on 0814 481 2193. Register to attend. Visit businessday.ng. Business Day, news you can trust. Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Theme: Accelerating Growth for SMEs in an Era of Uncertainty. For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, contact Esther on 0802 235 8807 or Dozier on 0814 481 2193. Register to attend. Visit businessday.ng. Business Day, news you can trust. Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Theme: Accelerating Growth for SMEs in an Era of Uncertainty. For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, contact Esther on 0802 235 8807 or Dozier on 0814 481 2193. Register to attend. Visit businessday.ng. Business Day, news you can trust. Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Theme: Accelerating Growth for SMEs in an Era of Uncertainty. For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, contact Esther on 0802 235 8807 or Dozier on 0814 481 2193. Register to attend. Visit businessday.ng. Business Day, news you can trust. Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Theme: Accelerating Growth for SMEs in an Era of Uncertainty. For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, contact Esther on 0802 235 8807 or Dozier on 0814 481 2193. Register to attend. Visit businessday.ng. Business Day, news you can trust. Hey, business owner, do you own an SME in Nigeria? Do you think you've got what it takes to be among the fastest growing 100 SMEs in Nigeria? Then, what are you waiting for? Join us by applying for the Business Day Top 100 SMEs Award coming up Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Theme: Accelerating Growth for SMEs in an Era of Uncertainty. For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, contact Esther on 0802 235 8807 or Dozier on 0814 481 2193. Register to attend. Visit businessday.ng. Business Day.